Nebraska versus the Red Blacks September 28th.
Hi, this is Stephen Arndt from the Tire Stewardship of Saskatchewan. We're the ones responsible for recycling your tires. We're a non-profit corporation that was established to serve as the scrap tire recycling program operator in Saskatchewan, approved by the Ministry of the Environment. We're responsible to all stakeholders, including consumers who pay the tire environmental fee, the collectors, the Ministry of the Environment, and the people of Saskatchewan. Visit tssk.ca to see how you can recycle your tires.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents the all-new Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Access Communications, trusted in rural Saskatchewan for internet, TV, and home security. Be a part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The all-new Sportscage. Streaming at sportscage.com and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
It's a big football Thursday on the all-new Sports Cage, and welcome to it. Chris Mazurek along with voice of the Riders, Dave Thomas. I'm here at Century Studios in downtown Regina, and Dave is set up at the Regina Thunder Dinner of Champions at Connexus Arts Center. In a couple of hours, it's a sold-out building with a great guest list for the Regina Thunder Dinner of Champions. AJ Ouellette, Kean Schaefer-Baker, some guy named Luke Mullender, Craig Reynolds, and Randy Ambrosi. And we're going to have a bunch of those people on the show today. It is Thursday, so we will have our usual guests, Arash Madani, coming up just after 4, and Glenn Suter just after 5. Want to get Suits' take on a bunch of stuff going on in the CFL this week. But Dave Thomas, it was a closed practice for Rider Nation today. But what did you find out? Because if anybody could get a little something from behind closed doors, we know it's you.
Well, I guess I'll look at it this way. We can't definitively give what the roster is going to look like come Saturday, but I would suggest that every indication is there that Jacob Brammer is going to start at the right guard position and that Anthony Lanier II will be back in the lineup this weekend. Those are the two that I'm relatively confident to give you as much confidence as I can provide without actually having seen them on the field. Roland Milligan Jr. is going to be back. CJ Rivas is a question mark, so that's a little bit concerning, as I thought for sure that he would be back. And Brian Cox Jr. is still fighting an illness and also is a question mark. But again, the big thing that I think that we can take out is that there is going to be a change on the offensive line, but this time it's not out of necessity. This time it's out of an opportunity, and that Jacob Brammer is going to get that start at right guard.
So I'll throw this out to you. So the past couple of games, that starting five played very well together. And this is crazy because we're on our second full unit offensive line. We're into 12, 13, and 14 now because of injuries throughout the season. They've played very well. Edwin Harrison, coach of the year, as far as you're asking me, as if there was an assistant coach of the year in the CFL. I know Brammer's back and he's healthy. Would you mess with that chemistry? Because it looks like there's a little bit there. They've actually gelled.
Yeah, if this was game 4 or 5 of them together, I would suggest, yeah, you probably would. But this would have been game 3 with Nick Jones being there. And I think that Jacob Brammer gives you the opportunity that he can move out to tackle. He's proven that. And just with the way that he has played, his physicality that he has brought, to me, that's what sets aside. And the coaching staff, I think, are saying here, okay, you're not going to lose your job to injury. And so Jacob Brammer is going to come back, and that's why they put him back in. And he was so impressive in training camp that I think he's earned the opportunity to come back in. So I think that as good as Nick Jones played, and he was sensational, I finally had a chance to watch the game front to back, and I know that the television was highlighting his play, and they were using some ISO shots, what really showed how dominant that he was physically. I think that still Jacob Brammer gets an opportunity to at least come in and show what he can do at that spot.
So does Jones then become the sixth offensive lineman? Is he the reserve then, or who dresses as six?
No, you'll still go with the young Canadian that'll go there, because of course you need a national in that spot in case one of your national guys do go down. It's just a ratio thing. So Nick Jones, I'm sure, will probably either be transferred to the practice roster or the one game injured reserve list. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, unfortunately, it's just a ratio thing for Nick, and I guess that's the nature of professional sports, right?
So last Friday, we got a chance to witness one of the greatest running back debuts in Saskatchewan Roughrider history at McMahon Stadium. Raquel Armstead, it was 25 carries and 207 yards, correct? Was that the final?
Yep.
It's funny, those last 50, he looked like it didn't matter the run. He wanted to lay down after a while to be like, okay, I've had enough. Probably an interesting week. A lot of people are saying you probably can't do that twice. Ottawa's got a pretty good defense. I mean, no one's been around him all that much. He's only been in town a week and a half, but from the little bit you can glean from him, is this a guy that maybe was just in the Ottawa situation was maybe just misunderstood, and this could be? I'm thinking he's got to be on the radar to get an extension or a signing for next year. Is that what you're kind of picking up as how he's viewing this shot as?
I think you're right. I think that he took a moment to realize, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but again, when you are released from a team, you have to do a soul search. And that's kind of what he alluded to, was that when he was sitting back on the couch for 2 weeks, sitting there thinking, okay, am I ever going to get another opportunity to play? And it probably seemed like a pretty long time, right, before he finally got the call and Saskatchewan reached out and offered him an opportunity to come back and show what he can do. Now, he's played 18 games in the National Football League with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So to me, I'm very curious and think it will be very interesting to see if that's the route that he wants to try to explore, if that's the path that he wants to try to take. So that's beyond this season, and I don't think we need to talk about that. I think the most interesting thing when it comes to the running back room is, are the Riders going to be able to find a way to get Frankie Hickson back onto the roster? Because Thomas Bertrand-Hudon was the backup running back last week, and he came in to spell off the running back. And you look in the National Football League, how many substitutions are there at the running back position, right? So, again, I'm not saying that you ever conserve energy in the midst of a football game, but if you need to spell off Armstead because he's running for 180 yards, Thomas Bertrand-Hudon was the guy that got his first carries of the season in Calgary. So is Frankie Hickson the guy that you bring in to maybe spell him off? It'll be interesting, but I can tell you one thing's for sure. Armstead, new green cleats and all, will be in the lineup come Saturday.
Yeah, well, that was the most noticeable thing last week in Calgary. He had those yellowish orange cleats he was wearing. You definitely knew it was him. And if the equipment staff's like, no, here, we got you something a little more appropriate. Now, it's funny you mentioned the NFL and all the backs that they use. Depending on the team and the offensive coordinator, there's guys for first down, second down, third down, and obviously fourth down. And we brought this up on the show a few weeks ago. Edmonton employs 3 tailbacks, and they don't use a lot of fullbacks. So they've got Leak, Rankin, and Brown. And my point at the time was maybe 3's too many. 2 seems about right. 1, I think, is not enough. And Van Stone brought up a great point yesterday. With his NFL experience, like, he is an NFL guy. He can catch, he can run, he's got quick feet, he can cut back, he can do all of those things. And for whatever reason, here, if you're watching on the stream, you can see this. He was just able to give us something that we just haven't seen in Rider Nation, like the fast cuts and the quick, and then he's back into the hole, and then he's out of the hole, and he can run for power. And for a bigger guy, he's got some speed, but then when he lowers his shoulder, he's very Kadeem Carey-ish, Dedrick Mill, like he runs hard. And was it you saying, like, it's 2 strides and he's at full speed? And boom, there he goes. This one down the sideline is great because he just kind of runs out of gas. He just goes out of bounds. He's like, I can't do this.
He looked like Michael Johnson. Remember that 200-meter run that they did at Skydome years ago between him and Donovan Bailey? And he realized
pull up?
He was just realized he was completely outclassed and was done. But that wasn't the case with Armstead. You're right. He was out of gas at that point. And you could see him tapping his helmet. I'm going out. Bring in the next guy. And so he did.
It's the Thursday edition of the all-new Sportscage. It's Maz and Dave Thomas here, filling in for Barney today. Dave is at the Regina Thunder Dinner of Champions at the Connexus Arts Center in Regina. Now, there's nothing going on yet. I'm assuming the prime rib or the roast beef is in the oven. That's probably about all that's going on. They'll be setting up the bar shortly, and then the guests will eventually start filing in, and we're going to grab people as they're coming in tonight. 50 tables sold out. Murad El-Khatib was on the radio last week talking about it. Star-studded guest list, including Randy Ambrosi. And Murad said he's the one that's running the talk with Randy, and he's got some questions to ask, like about the crazy tie against Ottawa earlier. There's been a lot of talk this week, Riders and Red Blacks, because Jeremiah Masoli is going to be the starting quarterback. Bob Dice came out and said, now Drew Brown, I didn't know this, but they're saying he has a bit of an ankle injury. And to me, I'm like, is it ankle injury or he just hasn't played all that well lately? So he's on the bench. Jeremiah Masoli, first start in 2 years. And this all happened against Saskatchewan. So there's been a lot of talk of what happened 2 years ago.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is the storyline, and,
sure.
and you don't need to get into that or rehash that. As everyone involved, I think both franchises, both teams, do not like the way that happened, and it's over. It's done with.
But a point I'm going to bring up here is for everything that everybody's saying. Keep in mind, I'm not agreeing with what ultimately went down, but that game, if you remember it, and I was watching it, was very chippy, and then the event that precipitated everything, and this is the part about revisionist history, you can't forget this. When Dino Boyd dove on top of Pete Robertson and injured him and took him out of the game, and what was out for 6-7 games, that was the event that led to everything else, the rest of the chippy play, and then the Marino, that was what precipitated that. Robertson has never been the same since. He came back, he was on fire. Did he have was it 8 or 9 sacks at that point, only 4 games into the season or 5 games? But he was on a tear. And then Dino Boyd dove on him, hurt his leg. Was it a broken foot or a broken ankle? It was something serious. He came back, wasn't the same, obviously. I don't think he was the same last year. I don't think he's been the same player since. But that's what precipitated ultimately what ended up happening. And so there's a lot of wrong and a lot of blame everywhere on all of this. But we can't forget what started, because and the thing was, and the probably the hard part is that Boyd stayed in the game. He didn't get kicked out. It was just 15 yards. And we had video replay. So we had review.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though. And again, I know what a proud father you are. You're not going to tell your kids that 2 wrongs make a right. They don't. And we don't want to see anybody hurt. And to me, intentionally trying to hurt someone is the wrong thing to do. And there's a difference between physically punishing someone between the whistles and all that fun stuff and what occurred in that game. And 2 wrongs don't make a right. And end of the day, had you kicked him out of the game, it doesn't matter. Pete Robertson is still going to be injured, right? So the call was the call. The call is inconsequential because the call didn't deter anything else, and maybe things happen, but you can say maybe to anything. So to me, I really would love to be inside Jeremiah Masoli's head coming into this one, because when I was a young guy, I got into a car accident, and I wouldn't go by that intersection for the next 2 years because just of what it brought back. Can you imagine what he's going through coming back to this and everything that he has fought through and all the adversity that he's faced to win back the starting job? And I said that, win back the starting job, because I thought he was sensational. You look at the picks that he's thrown there in garbage time, cleanup time, when everybody knows he's got to throw the ball downfield. So his picks to me are inconsequential. So to me, Jeremiah Masoli has got an opportunity to make a statement and win his team's way into the playoffs at Mosaic Stadium on Saturday.
Well, if we are going to put ourselves in his shoes, I'm sure he would love to, but he won't be able to be like, can I just let my play on the field Saturday speak for everything that I want to say and not have to answer any questions or rehash or do anything else? Because it has been 2 years. A lot of those people aren't, not around. Unfortunate event all the way around. But I'm sure he would love to not have to go down this path and just be like, can I just talk after the game? And let's just let my results, whatever they may be, do that. Because for a lot of people too, and I know there's some people in the Masoli camp, and I was kind of one of them going you've got this guy, he's coming back from injury, but then you go sign this free agent quarterback in the offseason, and now well, hold on. And now he's got to fight for his old job back. But what did he do? He is injured. But now he's got to fight for his old job back. But Ottawa, you did that to yourself. You brought in the new guy, and it was a succession plan. But Brown was a starter from the start of the year. And I think what you're seeing now is the Brown, that good, but that kind of mid-season slump or regression. And so that's when they're like, oh, he's got a bit of an ankle injury, and it's from earlier in the season. And that's why I was like, is it? Or is it just that he's kind of hit the wall and it's like, okay, we need some new life in here. Masoli's seen it before. He's been in this situation. We need some leadership. We've come this far, but now we got to keep it going. If I'm Bob Dice, you got to go with a guy with experience.
Well, I say this at running the risk that I'm going to get called out on this because I don't know which week it was, whether it was week 6, 7, or 8. But it was one of those weeks that Jeremiah Masoli was cleared to come back and get on the roster. So in that time, right, so that's a third of the season. So, of course, you had to go out and get Drew Brown because you didn't know when Jeremiah Masoli was going to be ready and how he'd be ready. So I think as a franchise, you had to go and get Drew Brown. And to bring him in, sign him to again, they traded for him, right? So to bring him in, sign him to the contract that they did, they made a big commitment to going out and getting him using capital assets. So you had to run that risk. And don't get me wrong, as my phone's blowing up, yes, I do want Jeremiah Masoli to do great. I do want him to do great things. I love cheering for the man. I really would love the Saskatchewan Roughriders to do more great things, though, come Saturday, okay? Don't worry about that.
Yeah, it'll be nice once the game finally kicks off to be like, and then it just gets down to being about football. And then, what happens there, it's good. But it's not. Like, and unfortunately, I'm sure he doesn't want to talk about this either. Much like it's only Thursday, and it's already to be like, okay. Because I don't know if there's any other, there's no new angles here. It's just a rehash. And if you're on a side, you're on a side. You're not going to change your opinion.
No.
At this point. I just saw the Riders' injury report. Nothing crazy. Joe's out, but we knew that. Brian Cox Jr., questionable. Jordan Herdman-Reed, questionable. They both didn't practice. And then CJ Reavis didn't practice, questionable.
That's the one to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
See
he's
where
played well.
CJ Reavis is going to fit in. He's been really good.
He played very well in Calgary. He was all around the ball. And he ended up getting a sack on that 2-point convert, which to me was the TSN turning point. That's when Calgary blew their shot at winning the game when they didn't put Tommy Stevens in from 1.5 yards to run it in. Me and Fairholm on the Rider Nation podcast, same thing. Like, we couldn't believe it. You can't stop Tommy Stevens from 1.5 yards out. Statistically, like, they're in high 90s from short yardage, and once they did that, and it was Reavis. I know Baldonado came over the top, but it was Reavis that got Mayer on the ground and got the sack. I thought he played really well, because a lot of us were worried when Roland Milligan wasn't in the lineup. It's like, well, who's going to replace Roland Milligan? And that's not an easy task, because it seems like Milligan is everywhere, not only on special teams, but he's also everywhere on defense. And it seemed like that CJ Reavis, and keep in mind, when you see Reavis, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he sure plays big, and he's a sound tackler, and he's probably one of those. And I think for a lot of us, we haven't seen or given the credit to how good Reavis has been, because Roligan has been getting the spotlight and been getting all the attention. But when you see them together, you're like, okay, we got something here. Now, what was I'm trying to remember, like, what is Reavis's situation or story? Like, how did he end up here? Like, what was his claim to fame or his cup of coffee before showing up? Because he's first with us in the CFL, correct? Am I right in that?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Like, I was trying to think. I'm like, he wasn't anywhere else. So this is another one of the if it's the JO fines, and that's good stuff. But I think a lot of us got a chance to see just how good he is without Roland Milligan. Even better when Milligan's back in the lineup. So, and I think the Anthony Lanier thing, I think for a lot of people, because when he's on, he's so good, but in the past couple of seasons, he's only been able to play, 12 or 13 games each year, and he's been limited because of injury, and especially in the past couple of years, you really noticed a drop-off when he was out of the lineup, because when he's playing, he's dominant. And you were saying earlier in the week they had him lined up at D end, right? And he's not on the interior of the D line.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to go in that D end spot, likely for Malik Carney, who's going to be out this week. I'm assuming. That was the thought that I got. Of course, that's where the Riders started him out of training camp. They anticipated that Anthony Lanier would play an edge spot. So Anthony just wants to get out there and play, and he doesn't care where. And as far as CJ Reavis goes, just to quickly get back to that thought, he, of course, went to college at Marshall. He spent some time in the NFL with the Jacksonville Jaguars as he was a free agent signing, didn't get drafted there in the NFL, and then he came to the Riders after that in April of 2022. So he's now been with the Riders since, and I think you nailed it right on the head in the fact that he does not get as much attention or maybe as much praise as he should, just with the outstanding season that Roland Milligan Jr. has been playing and the seasons he's put on in the past couple of years. But when CJ Rivas speaks, I really like listening to him and hearing what he says. He's very, very intelligent, comes across as intelligent. And if you see the blitzes, he times those blitzes up, including the sack that he got in Calgary last week. He times them up tremendously well. So that's film study, that's anticipation, and that's athleticism. And he's the complete package in my mind.
One of the things I said when Jeff Fairholm and I were doing the podcast, if you haven't seen it, it's up on our YouTube channel at sportscage.com, Rider Nation Podcast. And I love Fairholm. So smart, so dialed into the game, still a huge fan, and just one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. He said, because I had made the point, this game against Calgary, it was almost like back in the start of the season, we played good on O, we played some good special teams, and I thought we played good defense. And he goes, I'm going to challenge you on that last point. He goes, the defense is what worries me. He goes, I didn't see any man during the whole game. And he goes, and I watched quite intently. And he goes, we're doing the bend, don't break, and we're playing a lot of zone. But he said, like at the end of the game there, when Mayer was able to move around and move the pocket out, if four-man pressure didn't get it, that when the quarterback could move, that's when we became vulnerable, and other teams have taken advantage of that. And he worries about that with a mobile quarterback, especially someone like a Caleros or a Mazzoli that can move the pocket. If four-man pressure doesn't get you, we leave ourselves susceptible. You on the same page as Fairholm? Because you've watched more Rider football than anybody this year, from like the best views of anybody in the CFL.
I agree, but I think that was part of game plan and scheme last week, because the Riders didn't want Begelton to have a big night, and they didn't want Philpott to go off, and they wanted to make sure that they controlled the run game. So I think that those were their three objectives, and when you've got arguably your best cover guy in Roland Milligan Jr. not in the lineup, right? Because he would be out there essentially to negate Begelton, as he's done it with some huge receivers thus far this season for the Riders. So you don't have Roland Milligan Jr. in the lineup. You have to adjust your game plan, right, to the personnel that you do. So I think that was a big part in that game against Calgary. Now, yes, Luke Mullender points it out quite frequently, the number of times that the Riders go into a zone play, and sometimes they become less aggressive and sending extra personnel towards the quarterback. So with Jeremiah Masoli, I'm curious how much he's going to want to try to extend plays with his feet, and I'm curious to find out how aggressive head coach and defensive coordinator Corey Mace wants to be initially in the football game, right? Does he definitely doesn't want the Red Blacks to settle in, but he also doesn't want to go ahead and give up the deep shot, because the Red Blacks do that. They've got the number 2 passing offense in the entire Canadian Football League. So you don't want to go ahead and allow them to get into a groove.
Khalil Pimpleton will be back in the lineup. He got injured in that Rider game. And that looked painful. It looked like he broke his finger, or he dislocated his finger. And that looked incredibly painful. But as a football player, you just tape it off and you go right back in. I'm like, no, I'm probably going to have to sit this out. I'm probably going to be out a couple of weeks. And the other thing, too, is Dominique Rhymes. And when sometime we saw it in BC, when he's on, like Begelton, he can take over a game. And if they get that rhythm going early and you can't stop him, if you can't stop him in the first, you're not stopping him in the fourth. And he's one of those receivers. He's so big and one of those possession guys. So there are some threats there. And then you have it's a sneaky guy. Like he may not have the most catches, but Jalen Acklin just seems to show up with the right catch at the right time, just to get you enough for a first down. He's one of those momentum killers, and one of those guys are like, man, I don't like it. And they're good, and they're not afraid to push the ball. And I couldn't tell you who took over for Armstead as running back, but it looked like whoever they were using last week or the past couple of weeks. He looks good, looks serviceable, looks like he can do what they need him to do. Hey, we're just a couple of guys talking football here, and trust me, we could be super right or super wrong. And if you're yelling at the radio because of something we said, we love that. If you've got something to say, you can text us on the Capital Ford Lincoln text line, 306-936-6262. We're going to take a break, and on the show in a couple of minutes here, Saskatchewan Roughrider and Regina Thunder player Stephen Smith. The all-new Sportscage is live this afternoon at the sold-out Connexus Arts Center for the Regina Thunder Dinner of Champions, which will be underway here in a couple of hours. We'll take our first break on the show, and we'll be right back after this.
The all-new Sports Cage is brought to you by Sherwood Co-op Liquor Stores. Now open in Harbor Landing and Rochdale Boulevard.
It's our Ranch Roundup. I'm Ryan Young from 620 CKRM, and we want to recognize our province's loyal ranchers and thank you for all your hard work. 620 CKRM will be visiting 5 local pastures to deliver Tim Hortons to treat all the hardworking ranchers. Ranch Roundup for Class of America, Heartland Livestock Yorkton, Fraser Tolmie, Member of Parliament Moose Jaw Center Lanigan, 620 CKRM.
Sorry, summer's over. Which means the massive 3-day Sorry Summer's Over sale starts tomorrow at Sherwood Co-op Home Center. Save 15% off all regular priced items in store, including lumber. Home-based garage mat, 7 by 21 feet, regular $399.99. Now only $169.97. All in-stock patio furniture sets, now 50% off. Sherwood Co-op Home Center's Sorry Summer's Over sale starts tomorrow. 615 Winnipeg Street North. Limited quantities, no rain checks.
First Nations University of Canada invites you to join their annual Smudge Walk to honor the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation on September 27th at the First Nations University of Canada, Regina campus. The day starts with a pipe ceremony at 8 a.m. and the walk through the First Nations University of Canada and University of Regina campuses begins at 9:30. Presentations and special announcements will follow with a community lunch on campus at noon. The first 200 people attending will receive an orange Every Child Matters t-shirt. We hope to see you there.
It's back. Employee pricing at Capital GMC.
Do you have any idea what this means?
You pay what we pay.
Oh my!
We have 8 billion new and used vehicles.
No, we don't.
Well, we have lots of new and used vehicles, and they're all employee priced.
If you need a vehicle, new or used, you pay what I pay.
Right now is the best time to buy.
It's employee pricing.
You pay what I pay.
Employee pricing at Capital GMC.
Down here at Heartland Livestock Moose Show, we are now in full swing for fall run. These sales continue to fill daily, so don't hesitate to get your calves booked in. We are home to 2 of the major buying plants that represent Western and Eastern Canada as well as the United States, with 4 major trucking companies helping bring the extra dollar for your calves. For all your marketing needs, or if you're looking to book in, don't be afraid to give us a call at 692-2385. Get top dollar for your calves and get them sold at Heartland Livestock Moose Jaw.
The all-new Sports Cage is live streaming from our Century Studios in downtown Regina. Watch now at sportscage.com. Be part of the show by texting 306-936-6262. 620 CKRM.
From the Capital Ford Lincoln text line, is there anything preventing Hickson from spelling off Armstead in a game? I feel Hickson runs better than Bertrand Houdon. Is it a ratio deal? And Dave, I would say
100% ratio.
Yeah, it's 100% ratio. Unless we're willing to take somebody probably off defense, and like that's gonna, because then that means Hickson's gonna have to play. If he is, he's gonna have to play special teams, punt, cover or kickoff. Not that he can't. But thanks for that, Colin. 306-936-6262. If you want to text us something, if you want to call us, it's toll free. 866-767-0620. It's Maz and Dave Thomas. We're getting ready for the Regina Thunder Dinner of Champions at the Connexus Arts Center. And probably one of the most notable and famous Regina Thunder alumni would be Logan Ferlin, who we're going to hear from in about an hour's time on the all-new Sports Cage. But there's another guy who is, I would say, pretty lucky when it comes to football. He gets to hang out in some elite company for part of his day, and then he gets to spend the rest of his day with a pretty good junior football team. Dave Thomas had a chance to catch up with Stephen Smith from the Regina Thunder.
Stephen, there are a lot of people that would say you're living your best life right now. Agree?
Yeah, I would agree. It's a blast being here and playing with the Thunder at the same time and having fun doing it.
So Saskatchewan Roughrider by day, Regina Thunder by afternoon and weekend. Would that be accurate? Take me through a day in the life of Stephen Smith.
All right, so today, I'm at Mosaic all throughout the day, and then we have a Thunder workout at 4:30, and then I head to my second practice of the day at the Regina Thunder Clubhouse, and I practice there at night and meetings, and then wake up and do it again tomorrow.
Obviously, it's a sport. Obviously, you love the game. Does it ever get to be a job or a situation where it's like, oh, I got to get back at it?
It tries to, but I try not to let it, and I try to stay locked in and I get to, I don't have to. So I try to remind myself that every day, and the people here remind me every day too. I mean, they're in the same boat as me. So
what's it like being a professional athlete when you go back to the Regina Thunder?
I just try to take as much as I can from here and bring it there, and that includes leadership and some of the skill sets I learn, and I'm just another guy there as well. I don't want to be special there just because I'm practicing here.
At the Prairie Football Conference level, you're dominant, and some would say, you don't really have anything to prove. Do you feel, though, that you've got something to prove with maybe a target on your back, practicing with the Saskatchewan Roughriders like you do all week?
Well, not really. I try to go day by day and just get better every day, and that's kind of my motto. I'm not overly happy with what I've done so far this season, and the biggest thing is never getting complacent. So I'm just trying to work on getting better every day and go from there.
So when you're talking about taking what you learned here and transferring it to the Regina Thunder program, what are the biggest things that you can add to your game and help make your team and your teammates better?
Just knowledge about the game from the offensive side and from the defensive side, from the coaches here, just some things I've never heard before. And then small details like footwork and the way you crack your hips in a pass drop based off the quarterback's look, just small things like that, some things I've never heard before, and take it there to those guys.
When you talk to one of your teammates here with the Riders, the more accustomed they become with the CFL game and with the systems that are being implemented, they talk about the game slowing down. So when you play with the Regina Thunder, has the game slowed down for you?
I would say yes, it has. Especially here, I like to take as many ghost reps as I can. If I'm not getting in on the scout team, I try to just get mental reps in behind, and it definitely makes the game get a little bit slower over there.
What kind of feedback do you get from your coaches here when you're preparing to play with the Thunder?
Oh, they're great here. If they want any individual time, they'll do it with you. Coach JC will watch Thunder games with me and give me advice and tips and new things to work on every week, and it's great.
So lastly, of course, a big game this week against the Saskatoon Hilltops. I don't need to tell you that. How do you go ahead and make sure that you don't build it up to be bigger than what it is?
We're trying to focus on ourselves. We're going to carry our confidence from the last couple of weeks into this game and want to know this week. Focus on us. Let's ride our high right into this game.
Are the Thunder trending to where you want to be? Like, are you getting closer?
Absolutely. I think we're getting better every week, and we're getting closer, especially as a defense, to who we want to be. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting closer.
Good luck this weekend against the Hilltops, and hey, pretty good focus in keeping your eye on the prize on this.
Thank you very much.
I would say that this game on Saturday against the Hilltops is a championship preview because it's either one. You know this, Dave. It's either one or the other. No disrespect to anybody else in the PJFC, but this is a preview of who I think is going to be coming out of the PJFC as the champion. And if they can go on the road and go up to Saskatoon where there's going to be a good crowd, and I'm going to call it a Gordie Howe Bowl. I don't know what they call it now, but it was Gordie Howe Bowl back then. That whoever wins this game, that is some serious momentum into the last couple weeks of the season as they set up for the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an interesting night because it's a big fundraising dinner in Saskatoon for the Hilltops. So the Hilltops are 6-0. The Thunder are 5-1. The Thunder's lone loss this season was to the Hilltops here in Regina at Mosaic Stadium. So it's always a battle, and you just never know because strange things happen when these teams play each other, and they don't like each other a whole lot. And it's a real cool atmosphere, a lot of fun. And who's going to be speaking at that dinner? None other than former rider Dan Clark. So the Regina guy is going to be up speaking at the Hilltops dinner with the Regina Thunder taking on the Hilltops. It's going to be a fun night. And again, it's all about raising money, as this is for player scholarships here tonight with the Regina Thunder and their Dinner of Champions.
Yeah, last week when Murad from the Thunder was on with you guys, over 50 players from the Thunder are on scholarship. I had no idea. Like he had said, like the PJFC used to be like it was a working man's league. Like you did a job in the daytime and you played football at night. Where now it's about education, and a lot of these players end up going on to continue their education if they go on to play university football somewhere or whatever. But just that transformation, I think a lot of people, if they would have heard that, what? So yeah.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
Tonight,
and a lot of the athletes on the team, well, how come you're not playing CIS or youth sports football? How come you didn't take that path? And again, it's a different educational opportunity for a lot of the athletes. So, for example, Logan Furland, he's a journeyman carpenter. So you don't go to university when you're going to trade school, right? So he wasn't enrolled in a post-secondary education, and that's why he didn't take that route. The Regina Thunder gave him an opportunity to continue to play the sport that he loved, continue to develop as an athlete, and again, becoming a pro was just another added bonus. The opportunity to go to school and get his journeyman carpenter papers was sensational. And again, he talks about just how grateful he is for that opportunity to continue playing at a junior level here in the province.
We will have Logan Furlan on the all-new Sportscage after 4 o'clock this afternoon. It's Maz here in the Century Studios in downtown Regina. Dave is at the Connexus Arts Center for the Regina Thunder Dinner of Champions. We're hoping to get Randy Ambrosi on the radio and Craig Reynolds from the Riders. Did you talk to Luke? Because he knows this. Luke knows he has carte blanche to come on whenever he wants. He can just drop in, he can call, whatever. But last week it was built up that Luke was going to be doing something incredible at the dinner tonight when he is hosting kind of the chat with some of the current Rider players. And then I asked him about him at McMahon. I'm like, hey, yeah, so there's a lot of hype. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, so do you know what he's doing tonight for the dinner? This big
it's a sold
special
out dinner,
thing.
so I can spill the beans. I know what he's going to do, and this I can't wait to see, because this absolutely intrigues me and hits every peak and part of curiosity that I have. If you watch Luke Mullender watch a game, and again, I've had the opportunity to do that in the broadcast booth, and I am so grateful for the chance to work beside this man that knows all that he does about football and shares it with us in a context that I can understand. Tonight, he's going to do film study. So he's going to bring the players out onto the field. He's got the look, he's got the clicker, and he's going to go ahead and he's going to show how the players dissect and what they're looking for in executing plays and tendencies that they may give. I am just beside myself excited for this opportunity.
Now, is he going to use their game tape, or is he just going to bring up some game tape of certain plays that he's maybe cherry-picked? Because there's probably some ones over the years that could put, a Mullender jersey in a really good spot, maybe other ones. So I don't know. So that'll be interesting. We've talked about a lot of things. I don't think we've ever gone over film together. So I don't know. Does that mean grab an extra plate of dessert if you're going to the dinner tonight? Because when Luke gets up there with the clicker, he could turn into Belichick and we're going to be there. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're going to have, everybody thinks that they can run a football team. That's a part of Rider Nation living in this province. After tonight, it may be even more obnoxious with all the people going, well, that zone blitz right there. If you, if the halfback there would have picked that up, annoying to see that. It's funny. You and I got a touch of that when Durant was here on Labor Day, just talking with him. And it was something small or whatever. And then there was like a 15-second answer to be like, all that guy did was move 2 steps to the left. How did you know that all that was going to happen? He's like, you have to know every position on the field. So that's good. Luke, if you're listening, if you want to call in and, maybe give us a little preview of how you're going to break down tape, you're always welcome. There is some football action today. Normally we save Friday Night Lights for tomorrow for Regina Motor Products. It's our look at amateur football across the province. There's some 6-man action about to get underway here at 4 o'clock. Corrobert is at Plenty, and I've been to both, and I'm going to say that they probably are not playing on the world's nicest turf like they have at Mosaic Stadium. There's not fancy lights or concessions or whatever. This is some real hard-nosed. So that's 6-man. There's some 9-man action this afternoon. Fort Capel is in Yorkton taking on Sacred Heart. Now, that's a big deal. It's not the longest road trip, but it is a road trip nonetheless. And not only will you have the school buses, but you will have the parade of parents trailing behind. Yeah. Now, Dave, you're a sport parent. Do you eventually get fed up and have to pass the school bus, or will you always just trail behind in the position that you should be in as a support to the team?
No, I'm there before the school bus. I'm there well before the school bus because you never know.
You're not going to drive 90K on the highway?
No. I left a skate somewhere, or I don't have a cleat or something. So if you get there first, then you can go back and make it right, is the way I found it. But Corrobert, by the way, if you want to get to Corrobert in the worst way, may I suggest Highway 51? I've never been on the moon, but I'm pretty sure it probably felt like that. So to any Department of Highway crews that were out on Highway 51 this summer, I salute you, because there's a lot of work there.
I bet you everybody just went Highway 51, and everybody just listed off 3 or 4 different highways that they think could use probably a little funding and a little asphalt. Yeah. There's some action in the Regina High School Football League this afternoon. Martin Luther, the Kings, taking on the FW Johnson Wildcats. That's going to be 5:15 at Mosaic Stadium. Tomorrow at around 4:30, we'll have your complete weekend rundown for Friday Night Lights. If there is a big high school football game going on this weekend and we haven't found out about it yet, you can always text us or shoot us an email, hi@sportscage.com, and we would love to know what's going on in your neighborhood. We'll take a break. Coming up on the show after 4 o'clock, he's been a Swiss Army knife for the Riders. Some are calling him the most valuable person on that beat-off offensive line. That is Logan Ferlin. Logan is a Regina Thunder alumni, and we're live at the Connexus Arts Center getting ready for the big Dinner of Champions tonight. We're going to hear from him at around 4:30. You're listening to Saskatchewan's voice for local sports. It's the all-new Sports Cage on 620 CKRM.
Grab huge deals on fall hunting gear at the Outdoor Tradition Sale, on now at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Hunt in any weather with the waterproof polyester construction of Redhead Silent Stalker Elite parkas or bibs for men and youth. Now 30% off. And bring birds within range with select Avian X waterfowl decoys, now up to $100 off. Live for the hunt this fall with gear from the Outdoor Tradition Sale, on now at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. See online for more details.
When you have a big job on the go, always head to Prairie Land Rental for everything from skid steers to excavators to jackhammers. You'll get everything done with equipment just from Prairie Land. You won't need to go anywhere else. And at Prairie Land, you deal directly with the owner. They're very local and very Sask. They appreciate your local business, and they've got everything you need for your projects. They'll even deliver. Prairie Land Rental, 600 Albert Street. prairielandrental.com.
TNT Gunworks in Regina, your trusted source in Saskatchewan for guns, ammunition, hunting supplies, plus an on-site gunsmith that can handle any issue that you have. Long-standing and knowledgeable staff that live and breathe hunting and the great outdoors. If you want the biggest selection of new and used rifles and shotguns with staff that know their stuff and at the best prices around, stop in at TNT Gunworks, just off Albert on 4th Avenue, North Regina.
Freeze Tallman wants you to get her done before winter. They can save you time and hassle by delivering your building materials directly to your home or cottage. They have brown-treated lumber, composite decking, aluminum railing, fencing, landscaping material, everything you need to finish your outdoor building projects before snow falls. Visit freezetallman.com or see them in Regina or Fort Capel. Freeze Tallman. Let's get you building.
This summer, if you're thinking of a new building, think Olympic Buildings. They're engineered from top to bottom to be better than the rest. Strength, solid design, and impressive good looks are all standard on an Olympic farm building. Visit olympic-buildings.ca.
Welcome back to the all-new Sports Cage. Get social with us. Follow us on X at Sports Cage. Watch our video stream at sportscage.com and always on the radio at 620 CKRM.
5 NHL preseason games tonight. Islanders at Flyers, Bruins at Rangers, Canadians at the Maple Leafs. Oh God, Leafs Nation. I know that Austin Matthews is your captain now, and that's automatic. It's like Leon Draisaitl re-signing with the Oilers. People think automatically it's another trip to the Stanley Cup final, and that Austin Matthews. So, anyways, Canadians and Leafs, Sabres, Senators, Sharks and Ducks. Last night in the NHL, Columbus Blue Jackets and Denton Matejchuk, Moose Jaw Warrior scoring a goal. He's, as we found out with Don Hewitt yesterday when they had James Gallo on, I think he had a point in, every AHL playoff game that he played in except one. He's making it incredibly hard for them to send him back to Moose Jaw if he's going to play like that here in the preseason.
Absolutely. And just a side note, when it comes to Denton Matejchuk, I was curious whether or not he took risks, I thought, as a junior hockey defenseman because he saw the play and anticipated it so well, and I didn't know if that would translate necessarily to the pro game. Full credit to the kid, though, from what I've been told and what I've heard and seen. The guy has translated and transformed his game to a pro game, and that's why he'll be successful at that level.
You got to think, there's so many stories. There's a million hockey rinks in Saskatchewan, so you know to go from there to, your you're flying, you're eating good food, you're staying in nice hotels, you're doing all of that stuff. Now, as a 19-year-old, if you get a taste of that, to be like, hey, do I ever want to go back to riding a bus in the middle of nowhere with some pizza boxes being passed around? I don't know if they eat pizza anymore. I know the world has changed, hockey's changed, diets, dietitians, all that. Everybody's gluten-free. How about carnivore? Well, but anyways, as opposed to you get a little taste of that to be like, all right, if I play, I stay. And some guys just never let it go. What were they talking about? Braden Point has never played a game in the AHL other than when he was a Black Ace. He went straight from the dub to the NHL and has stayed there ever since.
It's interesting, I think, is that it can go one of two ways. So being a broadcaster for 10 years in the Western Hockey League, there's numerous examples where the guy, like you say, gets the taste and propels their game to the next level, and they're able to go ahead and deal with everything that is thrown at you and then succeed at the next level in the National Hockey League. There are some guys that get so bitter that they didn't get an opportunity or they felt they didn't get a fair shake that they come back to junior and that's it. And it can go one of two ways, and it very rarely is there any gray area. You either come back, you're ready to work your tail off, or you come back and you're crushed and defeated.
Yeah, and like we talked about, when they're this good at 19, and if they're not going to stick, they're going to come back, and they're probably going to get invited to some sort of World Junior tryout camp, and then they're going to be gone for the month of December. And then when that's over, they become trade bait, and then they're on, and then that 19-year-old season is just sort of a wash of in, out, in, out. And I think for a lot of these players, them not playing consistently can hurt them, because if their 20-year-old year doesn't work out for them and they don't make that club, but then they end up and they're old enough to go to the minors, I think that's where a lot of them kind of get lost in the wash, as opposed to you buckle down, you play all 19. Maybe you go to World Juniors, but just go and dominate and whatever that is, and then you can go. He seems like the type of player that if this doesn't pan and he comes back to Moose Jaw and I think he's going to be okay. From everything that James Gallo was talking about yesterday, is that he's going to be okay because he's just that good of a person and that good of a hockey character. Pats and Warriors home and home this weekend. Tomorrow night in Moose Jaw, we'll have the pregame show right here on 620 CKRM. That'll start at 6:30 with Dante DeCaria. And then Sunday, the Pats will be at home. Pregame show starts at 1:30, and we'll have the play-by-play at 2 o'clock. Big news out of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. This is a bit of a head shaker. Gary Childerhose stepped down as head coach of the GM and head coach of the North Battleford North Stars due to personal reasons today. And he had been an assistant coach for a bunch of years and just got this job in July. Any insight on this, Dave, or is this just the breaking news to be like, oh, I wonder what happened?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the big thing, is wonder what happened. And you hope that it's not an issue that is negative, right? You're hoping that there isn't some kind of story that, something is happening that won't allow him to go on. So again, until more comes out, it's really hard to speculate on what exactly did happen. But yes, it is a surprise. Again, he took over from the coach that went to Humboldt, right? So I'm curious to what happened there. But again, just hoping for the best and hoping that everything resolves itself for him and his family moving forward.
Now, the SJHL power rankings are posted at sportscage.com, and they have the Humboldt Broncos listed as the top team. Now, if you're a fan of Flin Flon at number 2 or Melford at number 3, you probably have something to say about it, and you'll be like, I completely disagree with this article. Rankings. But once again, they kicked off the season last weekend. There's going to be 5 games tomorrow night. The action on the ice, I think, if anything, if you're Kyle McIntyre, who's the president of the league, I think the level of play and the quality of hockey has never been better in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. And I know with all of the upheaval, especially in Alberta and BC in the past couple of years, to kind of keep this thing kind of calm and under control, because now what's happening in Alberta and BC is basically turning into what I think is kind of like the NIL situation down for college sports in the States. And you're seeing how that's playing out at UNLV football this week. Yeah. Somebody didn't get paid enough and somebody quit. So that's what these teams that are kind of doing that Super League thing, that are like, well, no, we want it this way because we don't want to have these rules, and we want to have to be able to have our own incentives and stock rosters the way we want. We want hockey, but it's on our terms, where they've been able to just kind of keep things steady as she goes. And I think it's the long-term play is eventually things will all even out. And if they don't go through that, because that super thing, the Super League in Alberta, BC, who knows how long that thing is going to last? Because basically you have the Brooks Bandits and the Penticton Vs. Those are your two best teams. Outside of that, you have a bunch that have been thrown in the blender. And the Brooks Bandits have been able to maintain that stream of talent. And I think it's basically based on reputation. But a lot of these other teams, you have a couple of down years, and then all of a sudden, what are you? You're not even competitive anymore. And then you got yourself into this Shark Tank, and you're not going to get out.
I'm going to echo your thoughts on the SJHL. I think that Kyle McIntyre has done a terrific job as a leadership person in that role in maintaining what the league has and and what it's about, right? The one spirit that they've gone ahead and really hung their hat on is the fact that we want to keep our players playing at home. And they've done a terrific job in getting that message out to players around Saskatchewan that there's a home for you in the SJHL. Now, as mentioned, Brayden Klamosko, he is the head coach of the Humboldt Broncos, who was in the Battlefords before. And seeing those power rankings, man, I feel for Mike Reagan up in Flin Flon. Man, he's been the bridesmaid the last 3 years in the SJHL final, and he can't even get a break in our power rankings to move him to number one. He's still number two. So he puts a great program on the ice, but he's just got to be thinking about what do we got to do here, man.
And if you've ever taken a drive from anywhere in Saskatchewan to Flin Flon, even from Prince Albert, you know those aren't easy trips because they're all long, no matter which way you're going, whether you're going there or you're coming home. All right, it's time to take a break. This is the all-new Sports Cage. When we come back after 4 o'clock, we're going to chat with Arash Madani about a whole bunch of other things, including Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? And the President's Cup, which is going on in Montreal. 3 Canadian golfers on Team International, captained by Mike Weir. It was a pretty interesting day. They were drinking beer on the tee box. I thought that only happened in places like Saskatchewan, but apparently in fancy golf clubs in Montreal. We'll get Arash's thoughts in minutes. This is the all-new Sports Cage on 620 CKRM.
Some people think you should keep your opinion to yourself, but not us. The 620 CKRM Daily Poll is your chance to have your say. From the biggest topic of the day to a lighthearted query, there's always something new. Brought to you by Action Roofing, proudly serving Regina and Saskatchewan for over 40 years. Call the roofing professionals at 306-545-4677. Let us know what you think. Head over to the 620 CKRM Daily Poll at 620ckrm.com.
You know what they say about trust? Trust goes both ways. And hey, that doesn't just go for people. It goes for you and your vehicle too. If your vehicle seems to be telling you something's wrong, you have to trust that instinct. Visit your local Integra Tire dealer for all of your car's mechanical service needs and get up to a $100 rebate on a set of 4 tires on select brands. You want tires you can trust from a dealer you can trust. Trust your locally owned Integra Tire dealers. Cars Holdings Assiniboia and Schlamps Tire Grenfell. Truly local.
The ball is snapped. He scans the field. He's going deep. What a play! Rider fans, make your own great play by going to riders5050.ca. You can now buy tickets for every game, home or away. And don't wait for the last minute. Get in on the amazing early bird prizes. Everything raised is used to support minor football in Saskatchewan. Support a great cause and just maybe score a big win. Get your tickets today at riders5050.ca and go Riders! Sponsored by ISC.
Jump into fall with new gear from the Outdoor Tradition Sale, all now at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Bundle up for chilly weather with 30% off Bass Pro Shops embroidered or graphic logo hoodies featuring new colors and styles. And get clearer pictures and videos of that buck you're tracking with the high-definition capabilities of the new SpyPoint Flex Plus cellular trail camera, now $30 off. Fall is calling at the Outdoor Tradition Sale, all now at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. See online for more details.
Your friends at Prairie Gun Traders in Avonlea have exactly what you need this fall. From muzzle loaders, rifles, to shotguns, you are totally covered this hunting season. Plus, browse through their great selection of ammunition, optics, calls, trail cams, scents, knives, and more. The hunting store that has it all at Prairie Gun Traders in Avonlea. You have a friend in the game. Main Street, Avonlea, or check out prairieguntraders.ca.
APAS is there when you can't be. As farmers and ranchers, you need to fight increasing costs and regulation. But how are you supposed to be everywhere at once? You're busy with harvest, so you don't have time for meetings with politicians, presentations to committees, and tracking legislation that will affect your farm. This is where APAS comes in. Your APAS representative, the APAS Board of Directors, and the Canadian Federation of Agriculture all work together to represent you. APAS is there when you can't be. Visit apas.ca and become a member today.
It's employee pricing at Crestview Chrysler, and that means
You pay what we pay.
it's amazing. It's exciting. It's mind-blowing. I apologize. I'm just very excited.
If you need a used or new vehicle,
You can get what I pay for a vehicle. You pay what I pay, and you don't even have to work here.
It's the best time of year for a new or pre-owned vehicle.
Right now, you pay what I pay.
You get a great deal, and you don't even have to work.
Employee pricing is back at Crestview Chrysler.
It's 4 o'clock. Good afternoon. It's mostly sunny and it's 23 degrees in Regina. I'm Corey Atkinson from the Harvard Media News Center with 620 CKRM News for Sherwood Co-op Liquor Store, now open in Harbor Landing and on Rochdale Boulevard, and by Mercedes-Benz Regina, for those who can. Mercedes-Benz-Regina.ca. With the provincial election campaign expected to start next week, NDP's leader Carla Beck was a guest of the Saskatchewan Chamber of Commerce, where she laid out what the business community could expect from an NDP government. Beck says the NDP platform is about bringing some relief to families faced with the higher costs of everything from housing to groceries.
Cut the fuel tax, to cut the PST that's been added to things like groceries and to children's clothing, to not go ahead with the current plan for doubling of the small business tax in this province.
The gas tax would be paused for 6 months within hours of the NDP forming government, according to Beck. The election campaign is expected to officially get started on Tuesday, with Election Day set for October 28th. You can take winter wheat and field peas off the list of things to harvest, and producers are almost done combining fall rye and lentils. Megan Rosso with the Ministry of Agriculture says Durham is leading other spring-seeded crops at 95% complete.
Followed by barley at 91% and spring wheat at 85%. Oats currently sit at 75% and canary seed sits at 68% complete across the province. Harvest is nearing completion for chickpeas at 93%. Mustard is 93% harvested across the province, followed by canola at 56%.
Flax and soybeans are the furthest behind, with flax at 42% harvested and soybeans at 32% harvested. Housing starts in Canada's 6 largest cities rose during the first half of the year, but it's still not enough to meet growing demand. The Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation says nearly 69,000 units began construction, up 4% year over year. The agency says the rate of housing starts per capita meant activity was around the historical average, but not enough to reduce the existing supply gap or improve affordability for Canadians. Hurricane Helene has been upgraded to a Category 3 storm as it moves across the Gulf of Mexico toward Florida. Andrew Hagan is with the U.S. National Hurricane Center.
Recent aircraft reconnaissance data has confirmed that it's strengthened to a Category 3 major hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 120 miles per hour. It is moving between north and north-northeastward at an increasing forward speed, and we expect the center of the hurricane to make landfall in that Big Bend region of Florida this evening.
Forecasters say a catastrophic storm surge threatens parts of northwestern Florida, while much of the southeastern United States faces the threat of tornadoes, damaging winds, rains, and flash floods. That's your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com. Your weather is next.
Style. Performance. Upgrade your daily driver to the new 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLB 250. This SUV packs a punch with features that make a normal drive exhilarating. The ultimate in automotive luxury can be yours for $419 bi-weekly. The friendly and knowledgeable staff at Mercedes-Benz Regina will help you find the exact model you want. Take a test drive and feel the difference. Stop by for an award-winning experience at Mercedes-Benz Regina, recipient of the Star Dealer Award.
Sorry, summer's over. Which means the massive 3-day Sorry Summer's Over sale starts tomorrow at Sherwood Co-op Home Center. Save 15% off all regular priced items in store, including lumber. Home-based garage mat, 7 by 21 feet, regular $399.99. Now only $169.97. All in-stock patio furniture sets, now 50% off. Sherwood Co-op Home Center's Sorry Summer's Over sale starts tomorrow. 615 Winnipeg Street North. Limited quantities, no rain checks.
And now it's time for your 620 CKRM Precision Weather Forecast for Line X Regina. Serious protection, killer looks, 1865 McCarra Street, and brought to you by Wolf Industries, your truck repair specialists in Grenfell, servicing all sizes of trucks, SGI accredited. Tonight, clear with a low of 6. Tomorrow, sunshine and a high of 26. On Saturday, mostly sunny and a high of 24. And on Sunday, sunshine and a high of 28. At this hour in Moose Jaw, it's partly cloudy. Winds from the northwest at 51, gusting to 62, and it's 22. Regina is mostly sunny. Winds are from the west at 45, gusting to 71, and it's 23. For more local news that matters to you, subscribe to the daily newsletter at sasktoday.ca.
Whether Smokey's after you or not, when you're on the road in your big rig, you're in a hurry to get to where you're going, and you need a part shop you can trust. Wolf Industries is the premium choice. They're your family-run truck mechanic shop with a full line of parts for big semis, with certified AC technicians for the hot summer. Stop in at their Grenfell location for all the parts and repairs you need. They're SGI accredited for safety inspections and have 24-hour emergency call-out. Wolf Industries, the best for your truck. 10-4.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line X. Make your truck complete. 1865 McCarra Street.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents the all-new Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Access Communications, trusted in rural Saskatchewan for internet, TV, and home security. Be a part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The all-new Sportscage. Streaming at sportscage.com and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
In just a couple of moments, we're going to go coast to coast with Arash Madani. He's in Montreal. We'll check in with him at the President's Cup golf tournament. Before 4, we were chatting about some high school football action that was going on, some Friday Night Lights, the Thursday afternoon edition. The 9-man Fort Capel Yorkton Sacred Heart game is getting underway here in a couple of minutes. And thank you for texting in at 306-936-6262. Saudi Cupar is taking on Ituna as well. That game was changed from tomorrow to today. Kickoff here goes in just a couple of minutes.
The all-new Sports Cage and Coast to Coast with Arash Madani is brought to you by Smart Investing Solutions. Be smart with your money. Call Brian Golly at Smart Investing Solutions, 546-2533.
So, Arash, the first thing I saw this morning when I cracked open X, formerly known as Twitter, was a guy chugging beer on the first tee box, and I figured, well, wait a minute. Did one of my buddies post a video of some low-rent situation here at a Sasky course? No, that was at the President's Cup in Montreal, was it not? Who was the guy that was chugging the beer on the tee box?
That was Mackenzie Hughes, the Canadian, who was not playing today. I think it's important to point that out. That may have been the highlight of the day for the international team. Fellas, they just wrapped things up. No, the Americans skunked them. It's 5-0 after one day. It's a 4-day competition. Whichever country gets to 15.5 points first wins. And it was not only a bloodbath, but I'm just looking up at the scoreboard here. Like, at one point, they almost, well, as Xander Schauffele just said in the press conference, they kind of poked the bear when it came to Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler is the number one player in the world, and Tom Kim, his buddy, knocks down a putt. It was a nice putt, long putt, and it almost got in Scheffler's face with his fist pump. And Scotty was like, "Oh yeah," and from then on, game on. Oh yeah, and Schauffele just said, "Yeah." He poked the bear and then just sat back in his seat and laughed. So it was that kind of day here.
I mean, Scheffler, besides being dominant wherever he plays, he's a hardened criminal. He's lived that hard life. He could probably, if he went to an ATM machine, he could pull out the paper statement and just hold that up, and that probably would be a mic drop moment or whatever. Is there any chance that tomorrow it gets any better for they're the internationals, but with 3 Canadians, a lot of us think of it as Team Canada. Is there any hope of them mounting a comeback?
No, there will be no comeback, but it can't be. It obviously can't be worse than 5.
Attention media, Adam Scott, Tom Kim, and Taylor Penrith are in the interview room.
Your order's ready, Arash. We'll pick up your fries at the counter.
Taylor Penrith is going to the. Look, the international team has lost 9 in a row at the President's Cup. You're really just, the Americans are better. And what was interesting today is once they started to get on a little bit of a roll and they started to get momentum. I mean, Dave, you see it all the time in football. Like when momentum starts to roll and suddenly confidence starts to rise and just kind of that backbone goes up, you're like, oh, man. And there were a couple of flickers that the international team had, knocking down a birdie putt, and then right away the American answer. They just didn't allow that momentum to drop. They didn't allow Team International to get into any kind of rhythm, and then the end result is what the end result was today.
What's the reception to the event around Montreal been like? Has there been a lot of talk about it? Is there a lot of fans that are there? Again, we see kind of the overshot, but you're there. What's it like?
It's amazing. It's a packed house. They're expecting 30,000 a day to be out here, which is amazing because, stop if you've heard this before, there is construction on the bridges in Montreal, and there's only one way in and one way out, and it's like 2 hours to get here just because of gridlock. But people are doing it regardless. What you would have seen and heard was a crowd that would have been boisterous and into it and loud, and like that's what Mackenzie Hughes was doing right off the hop by cracking open the beer and chugging it and waving his arms up and down first thing when they teed things off at 11:30 this morning, because that's what they want. The problem was the Americans just took the air out of the balloon right away. There's nothing to cheer about. There's nothing to get excited about. Like up on the big screen, the Americans are in red, Team International's in gold. This screen looks like one of my exams from university, like when the professor would just bleed red all over it. I mean, that's what the scoreboard looks like here. So it was an all-out drubbing by the Americans, which really kind of took what could have been a really fun atmosphere today. It was pretty muted because there was just nothing to cheer about, Dave.
So besides Scheffler, who are it's basically Team America, Scheffler, but who else is there? Because keep in mind, Scheffler's just good. Like, who are some of the other people doing the damage? Because Scheffler is his own island these days, it seems. Well, who else is contributing to the carnage?
I'll answer the question in a moment, but I think what's really important to kind of realize is that Scotty Scheffler in 2024 has put together the best year that any men's golfer has had since peak Tiger. Like, not even quote-unquote ordinary Tiger. Like, when Tiger was at his absolute phenom spot, that's what Scotty Scheffler's done. The difference is he doesn't really want the fuss. He's not a marketing machine. He doesn't have the juggernaut behind him. Wins the Masters, wins Olympic gold, wins the Players. If you really start digging into the advanced stats, it's actually a better year than Woods ever had. But that's just the way Scheffler likes it. He doesn't like the fuss. He doesn't like the hype. But look at what they have here. Xander Schauffele and Tony Finau were the first group. I'm just trying to think of names that the ordinary sports fan would know. Keegan Bradley, who hadn't been on this team for 10 years, sunk a 25-foot birdie putt on the last hole to really kind of cement things. Patrick Cantlay's there. The irony, guys, excuse me, is that the international team is Adam Scott and Hideki Matsuyama, who were 2 Masters champions, and they were kind of lost in the shadows today just based on how this entire thing went.
Just to clarify, let's go back, because Scheffler, you said, is different. He doesn't want the smoke like Tiger. Is it Waffle House or Perkins that Tiger had the affinity for the waitresses? Is it what restaurant chain? It is Perkins, right? It's not Waffle House? I'm getting my facts
sure.
Correct?
No, I believe that the reports were Perkins.
Yes.
But I'm sure that Eldrick didn't discriminate. Yeah.
And no free shout-outs, but at least we got to get our facts straight. Right. Dave, are you one of those guys, like, is this something, because I'm not a golf person. I'm not much of a player, let alone I'd pay money to go to this. Is this something that you'd be like, no, it's coming to town. Let's say it was coming here. Be like, no, I got to spend some hard-earned dough. I want to be behind the rope, and I want to follow these guys around for a couple of days. Is that something you and your guys or your boys are into?
I would have said no about 5 years ago, but I went to my first ever Saskatchewan Open event. And again, it's a different caliber of player, right? So I don't get to see Scotty Scheffler like Arash does. But what I was intrigued by, and this was going to be my question to you, Arash, when you're covering this event, how are you covering it? Are you following a group? Are you trying to see an overview of it all? Because to me, seeing the preparation that these athletes put in to their game, put into their knowledge of the course in each and every hole, I found absolutely spectacular. And it was overwhelming to me. And I find it, or I'm curious what it would be like at the stage that you're at right now, Arash.
Well, I think one of the most intriguing parts about all this, guys, is that this is, like, there's 51 weeks a year on the PGA Tour and the majors, and then there's this week. There's this week where it's a team competition. There's this week where you have coaches and assistant captains and captains. You have teammates. You're able to watch video between holes. You're able to do all these things. It's an altogether different golf event, but you still have to go out there and swing the club. Tomorrow's going to be an altogether different format. So that's what's neat. And I would just say from a spectator standpoint, like I'm very spoiled. I get to go to a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool sporting events, but I think the coolest stuff to go to are best on best competitions when you get to wave the flag a little bit, when it's country versus country, international, because suddenly you're not playing for me, you're playing for we, and the crowd is different, and it's not just about the paycheck. And that's why if tomorrow this international team, if a couple of the Canadians can start doing something on the front nine, you're going to see some really cool scenes in the grandstand, on the fairways, on the greens. It's a big if, capital I, and it's not even an F, it's a capital PH here, based on how today went.
So if things go well, this could turn into Waste Management Open-esque type situation in the gallery. No. That hey,
I wouldn't say
a Canadian hole in one could bring a shower of beer cans down. I'm just saying, we have it in us.
You know what here's what I would compare it to. I would compare it to like an NHL regular season game compared to like a World Junior Canada versus USA on New Year's Eve.
Oh, okay.
Like that's something, like it's just different. There might be, if the weather's nice, it might turn into a party atmosphere. But I just think, like, if there's a big putt that you need, the hands start to shake a little bit. And the guys openly talk about it. Mike Weir and Jim Furyk said when they were part of the team not playing in the President's Cup, it was the most nervous they've ever been on a golf course. I was like, wow. Whoa, okay. Ooh. Think about some of the big putts Mike Weir had to hit back in the day. So, yeah, it's just different.
All right, let's switch gears here. The benched quarterback in the CFL from early on in the season has the best stats and could be the most outstanding player for what is the hottest team in the CFL. The Hamilton Ticats are in the Lions' Den tomorrow night in Vancouver. If you're Bo Levi Mitchell, he's always got a little bit of a smirk going or whatever, but how Bo is having an outstanding season on a team that's good now, but how do you explain? This is Bo from 5-6 years ago we're seeing here. What's happening?
Bo's having a good month. Bo's having a good month.
Okay.
A good month.
Okay.
Bo got benched. Bo went home.
Yes.
His daughter was having a lemonade stand, and he asked his daughter if he could have a new job. That's where things were, and then came an injury, and the next thing you knew, Bo was out there. I was just telling a couple of the CFL guys are here from the league office, and they're here with the Grey Cup. And I was chatting with them. Bo made a throw on Friday night to Shamar Bridges. It was a back shoulder throw to about the 1 or 2 yard line that originally was called a touchdown, but they brought it back. It may have been Bo Levi's best throw since pre-COVID, since before the shoulder surgery. Like, that was a 2018 or 2019 Bo Levi throw. And I always remember when I worked Grey Cups with Travis Lulay, Travis had shoulder surgeries. And he said, teams want you to come back after 6 months, and you're not ready until about the 18-month mark. You're not the same. And it's not the zip on the ball. It's not the velocity. It's the touch. And the difference between a pass that can be batted away or picked off or just miss the target is so, like, that margin for error is so slim. And maybe Bo's found something. Maybe he's unlocked something. Maybe he's, wound the clock back a little bit. But he's playing good football at a time where very few teams in the league are playing good football. And it just feels right now, unbelievably, that the two teams you don't want to play right now are Hamilton and Edmonton. Go figure, because the first half of the season, they were the free space on the bingo card.
Arash, I want to ask you this question because I know that you're not going to pull punches. You never do, and if you want to call me out, I would love to hear you call me out. Next week is the CFL trade deadline. And let's face it, you have to have buyers, you have to have sellers, and very rarely in the CFL do you have that in a 9-team league. The only seller that I would maybe throw out there might be the Calgary Stampeders, and the buyer might be the BC Lions. Am I totally off my, you call it whatever you want, in thinking that maybe, just maybe, there is some move made by the Calgary Stampeders to try to acquire Vernon Adams Jr. from BC, even though the Lions have said, oh no, we're not making a move, for, say, Cameron Judge or someone that can help shore up their run defense should they have to face the Riders or, let's say, the Brady Oliveira-led Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Am I crazy to think that something like that could happen?
I think so, Dave, for a couple of reasons. One, the Grey Cup obviously is in Vancouver. If you're the Lions, are you sold on Nathan Rourke right now for the next 4 weeks of the regular season and the playoffs? Yeesh. I think also you can get more in the offseason for Adams, as an asset that you can now. Like, I'm just looking at BC here. They've won 2 of their last 5 ball games. I don't know what the odds makers have going into this week, but who would you lean towards, Hamilton or BC right now going into tomorrow night's game? Like, this is how crazy things were. I remember having this trade deadline chat with Barney just before Labor Day, and I told him, I said, if the Argos win on Labor Day, the Ticats should trade Bo to Winnipeg, because Strevler had just gotten hurt, Zach's 1 hit away, and now suddenly we're talking about the Tiger Cats being a legitimate championship contender. So I'm with you. I think Calgary's the only team that is, like, fully out. And Ottawa can't do this. They can't. Their GM's got an expiring contract. They've won 6 games at home. I don't know if Ottawa wins another game the rest of the season. I really don't. I don't see a pathway in which they do. As Hamilton's come up, Ottawa's crashed back down to earth. So, yeah, I do think that I'm with you. The Calgary's the only seller. I think you get more for Vernon in this offseason, though, from an asset management standpoint than you do now.
Now, it's interesting that you say that about Ottawa. They're here on Saturday. Riders, Red Blacks. It's going to be a 1 o'clock kickoff. So is the Masoli magic feel-good story, is it just that? It's just a story that will just disappear and the real Ottawa team is going to show up here because decimated by injury, and they had a great start, but to me, like with Drew Brown, they've kind of crashed down. They've done kind of what the Riders did. Reality is kind of set in, and they kind of are who they are. And depending on what week it is, like they haven't looked good the past few weeks.
Well, look at the guy in the middle of the screen, and I'd ask him to pull out his depth chart from when you went to Ottawa in that debacle of a tie, whatever that was. Look at Ottawa's linebacking corps. Look at their left and right tackle situation. The Red Blacks' right tackle is a turnstile. They're toast. Like, you're only as good as your talent is in professional sports, especially in professional football. And when you don't have linebackers and when you don't have tackles, I don't care if it's Masoli, I don't care if it's Brown, I don't care who it is. The other thing with the Red Blacks is, this is where the Roughriders also fall in my opinion, they don't have a home run hitter receiver. Like, I look at Coxie in Toronto and I'm saying to myself, you know what? They just throw the ball up and he'll go climb the ladder and oftentimes he'll catch it. When your offense is struggling, that's sometimes what you need. Just throw it up and hope for the best. We saw Monday night, Jaden Daniels with 10 guys on the field and Cincinnati bringing cover zero on the blitz. He just threw it up to Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin's an all-pro receiver. He went and made an incredible play. When your offense is struggling, you need those kind of players. Ottawa doesn't have linebackers, Ottawa doesn't have pass protection, and Ottawa doesn't have weapons. And that's why Ottawa's in big trouble right now.
Wow. Tomorrow night, if the Elks don't beat the Bombers, is that pretty much Elks done for the Elks, in your opinion, for this year and their comeback story after the Chris Jones firing and then Jarius Jackson taking over and then Trey Ford and McLeod Bethel-Thompson and then the back forth? Did they run out of good karma?
Yeah, maybe. It's just so tight. Like, 5-10 makes it tough. I think it removes the crossover, but like, you're in the intensive care unit, but they haven't called the priest quite yet.
The captain's pairings are happening in the interview room.
Said if you've got a struggling offense, what do? Well, you hand the ball off and you take on the Dallas Cowboys, I would suggest. Is there anything to make me feel any better about that team from Arlington?
Oh, God. Yeah. How about the Cowboys?
Oh, man. I guess, Dave, someone has to win the game tonight, huh? Between the Giants and the Cowboys? I guess. We think. Like, somebody's going to leave the stadium tonight without a losing record. And I'm like, how is that possible? These are two losing teams. Funny how it goes.
But the funny thing is, I find, if you watch the Sunday Night Football coverage on NBC, Jason Garrett, when the Cowboys do come up, he's obviously very pro-Cowboys. He made a lot of money there. I'm sure he still has, in the way they talk about it. And even Tom Brady says nice things about Dak Prescott. But sooner or later, Dak has kind of got to come through. And everybody said, listen, they spent all their money on a couple of players. Sure, that's great. But soon, if you could, sometimes we've seen this before, where even your team, the Minnesota Vikings, sometimes the quarterback has to will them to some wins. If you are going 1-3 after this game, I think if you're the Dallas, people don't have expectations for the Giants like the Cowboys fans do every year. I think 1-3 is worse for the Cowboys than the Giants.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that absolutely. And I've never understood the Dak Prescott peak and valley. Like, he has never been anywhere near as bad or anywhere near as good that he's purported to be. But I will just say this about Dak. It's not his responsibility to play defense. Like, when you give up 44 points what's he supposed to do here? It's not Dak's job to draft offensive linemen properly. It's not Dak's job to call plays. I think if like, to me, and I live in Toronto, like Dak Prescott would fit in so well as a member of the Maple Leafs, where like the expectations for him are just so delusionally bizarre.
Yes.
You know,
I mentioned that earlier because it's preseason and Austin Matthews is the captain, and on social media that's automatically guaranteeing them a spot in the Stanley Cup final somehow. So I do love the delusion. I love that. I love how you melded both of those together. The delusional fan bases that fall in love and get married, have 5 kids.
It's one of these things where, like, if you removed the stickers off the helmets, if you removed the numbers off the jerseys and took the nameplates off and just evaluated in like a grainy black and white film like the old days, like who's good here without you know that inherent bias of, oh well, he's Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. It almost feels like Daniel Jones is the opposite. Like, everyone's like, oh no, he's garbage. He's crap. He can't play. Like, forget it. And kind of like Danny Dimes the last couple of weeks has actually shown signs of life. So it's amazing how our perceptions skew so much based on, I don't know, dollar figure, team you play for, whatever you want to talk about.
It's funny, even as grainy a video as you want to watch, you still ain't going to be able to find the Dallas Cowboy defense. Like, there's somewhere.
Yeah. And Dave, as a Vikings fan, enjoy the Mike Zimmer experience, because I had 7 years of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny, Arash, that you mentioned perception and what people think. Jaden Daniels the other night, and I remember watching him at LSU, and then him going to Washington. But he wasn't a first overall. He went there. He was almost the perfect pick at the perfect time because, he's good, but it's not like what we're seeing in Carolina where all the pressure is on one person. He kind of snuck under the radar, and he'll hopefully have a chance to be good and just develop into a good quarterback without that spotlight on him. And I think that's like that crush and the pressure. Yeah, everybody just assumes Daniel Jones sucks, so there's no expectations, but they put Prescott over here. It's almost like the Buffalo Bills, and I say this. Everybody kind of likes Buffalo. Buffalo, you finally have to start winning. You have to beat Kansas City. If you actually want people to think you're good, you're going to have to go win a Super Bowl. Enough is enough of, Buffalo, you got to finally go win something. And until you do, I think a lot of people are just going to be like, whatever. It's like Cincinnati. I think now, even after seeing what we saw on Monday night, Cincinnati going to the Super Bowl a few years ago was probably more of a fluke. I think that they're not really a good football team. You can't keep starting 0-3 every year and just go on and be like, no, they're going to get it together. They're going to get it together. No, I think there's some stuff fundamentally wrong. And I think that game the other night just showed to be like, people gave Cincinnati too much credit for what they did.
Okay.
No.
So I understand, Maz, I understand the narrative, but let me flip this on you real quick.
Okay.
Let's think about December football, okay? Late December football, by then you kind of figured out who and what your team is and what you are. Let's say there's a team that loses 3 of 4 games in late December last year, including on Christmas. They lose to the Raiders, to Aiden Hutchinson and the Raiders, to make it 3 of 4 losses. What are you saying about that team? You're probably saying they're toast. And you know what happened? Kansas City didn't lose a game the rest of the year. Like, you just never know. Like, that was KC last year. They were garbage in December. Nothing was going right. Their offense couldn't do anything. Their defense couldn't stop someone. So much of this, like I was mentioning, I saw the CFL guys. To me, I look at this, especially this season, the CFL. I don't think anybody's good right now. Montreal is decimated with injury. BC, we have no idea what's going on with their quarterback situation. Toronto feels like a ticking time bomb. Ottawa feels like they're the Titanic. Who's going to be healthy and who's going to get hot? And whoever does that from Halloween to the middle of November probably wins the Grey Cup. You don't lose an NFL season in September. They're not winning a championship in September. you can get yourself really far back in the race.
Yeah, and that's the point on Cincy. If you start 0-4, it makes it incredibly hard to come back.
Incredibly hard, but man, they just keep expanding the playoffs. Everybody gets in now.
Except Dallas.
Oh.
Except Dallas.
All right. We're going to wrap. We're going to get a little rash, go drink some beer with other members of the Canadian press in Montreal, living it up. He probably has drink tickets in his pocket, a stack of them. What is
maybe the Canadian players. Maybe it's the Canadian players who need a couple of drink tickets in their pockets after how today went.
It's Coast to Coast with Marash Madani. We do it every Tuesday and Thursday for Brian Gawley. All right, we're going to take a break on the all-new Sportscage. And when we come back, we're going to hear from former Regina Thunder player and current Saskatchewan Roughrider Logan Ferland. Dave Thomas is live at the Connexus Arts Centre. It's the Regina Thunder Dinner of Champions tonight, and we'll find out some proud roots to a Saskatchewan Roughriders success story in minutes. It's the all-new Sportscage on 620 CKRM.
The all-new Sportscage is brought to you by Bronco Plumbing and Heating, where professional service is guaranteed. They'll treat you right. 781-2090.
Get the farm equipment you need at upcoming Ritchie Brothers farm sales this fall. Ritchie Brothers is hosting close to 20 farm auctions between October 9th and December 12th. For the latest auction schedule, visit rbauction.com. Choose from hundreds of farm equipment items, including combines, tractors, trucks, headers, trailers, farmland, and much more. Register for free, then bid online at rbauction.com.
Rider Nation, the all-new Sportscage is bringing you Cooperators Rough Rider football like never before. Now, for every home game, you can watch the Rider Radio live stream on our Sportscage YouTube channel. Saturday, the Riders take on the Red Blacks. The live stream starts at 10 with Countdown to Kickoff, brought to you by Croft Electric. And we wrap up the game with a Sportscage Radio Roundtable, brought to you by McDougall Auction. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at sportscage.com. And don't miss a minute of our Rider Radio live stream.
Water heater and water softener rentals are now available at Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Instead of paying big money up front, you can rent a water heater and water softener directly from Bronco without the worry or hassle. They have a long history of renting water heaters and water softeners, and they're maintenance-free. Bronco comes and does all that for you. Saskatchewan's best water heater rentals are from Bronco. Call 306-781-2090. Professional, courteous service. BroncoPlumbing.com.
Hear that? The sweet sounds of sleeping in on a Saturday morning, which of course never happens when you have kids. But today your partner took them to morning practice and left you a coffee. The last time you felt this kind of relief was when you switched to CA Insurance. Remember that? Their policy review helped make sure you and the family have the protection you need. So indulge in a little more shut-eye, because it looks like there's more than one thing helping you rest easier. CA Insurance Company, making things better.
Sask Lotteries has 50 years of winning behind us. And you know what that means? Lots of winning numbers. Numbers like over 1,200 organizations funded and 12,000 plus groups supported. $6 million given away annually in community grants. And the winningest number of all? $1.4 billion given back to the people of Saskatchewan through sport, culture, and recreation. And we're just getting started. Help us grow the next 50. Learn more at sasklotteries.ca.
Down here at Heartland Livestock Moose Show, we are now in full swing for fall run. These sales continue to fill daily, so don't hesitate to get your calves booked in. We are home to two of the major buying plants that represent Western and Eastern Canada as well as the United States, with 4 major trucking companies helping bring the extra dollar for your calves. For all your marketing needs, or if you're looking to book in, don't be afraid to give us a call at 692-2385. Get top dollar for your calves and get them sold at Heartland Livestock Moose Jaw.
Meet your new favorite shade of green. At Nick Service, we offer the Fendt 500 Vario Series tractor that's tailor-made for your farm. Get better stability, ease of use, and comfort with one tractor. Whether you're feeding, tilling, baling, or hauling, this series is built for your farm. Experience up to 163 horsepower with this multi-purpose tractor. Visit Nick Service in Emerald Park or go to nickservice.com to get a quote on the Fendt 500 Vario Series.
From the Sask Today newsroom, here's what's making news in Saskatchewan.
The community fridge in Cathedral in Regina was damaged by fire. Now organizers have a GoFundMe page going to get it back online.
Sask Today's team of local journalists are on the ground in communities across Saskatchewan, focusing on local topics that matter to you. Visit and bookmark sasktoday.ca and sign up for our daily news digest. sasktoday.ca. Everybody has a story. From Harvard Media, everywhere.
The all-new Sportscage. Watch our live stream at sportscage.com and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Hey, thanks for being part of the show. If you want to go to sportscage.com, our question of the day, will the Saskatchewan Roughriders make the playoffs in 2024? Have your say. Most of us, because of the win last Friday in Rider Nation, feeling pretty optimistic. We're going to find out what Glenn Suter thinks just after 5 o'clock. There's 4 games in the CFL this weekend. Elks, Bombers, Ticats, Lions. You've got the Alouettes, Argos, along with the Riders and Red Blacks. And as always, we'll check in with Glenn Suter just after 5. The all-new Sports Cage today is live at the Connexus Arts Center as we get ready for the Regina Thunder Dinner of Champions. A star-studded guest list including A.J. Ouellette, Kian Schaefer-Baker, Luke Mullender, Craig Reynolds, and Randy Ambrosi will be the stars tonight. And it's all in raising money for scholarship for Regina Thunder players. And one of the players that went through the Thunder program is now a star for the Riders. Some have called him a Swiss Army knife. I would call him a hybrid. He can pretty much do anything. He's Logan Ferland, and our Dave Thomas had a chance to catch up with Logan earlier today.
Well, Logan, let's first of all look at your body of work, because now you've moved from guard to tackle to center. You're like the Swiss Army knife for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. You okay with that?
Absolutely. We're all Swiss Army knives, really. Like everyone in that position, everyone in the O-line, they can move around, and that's really what we need.
So what are the intricacies that go into A, making the pre-snap read, B, making the snap, and then executing the play?
I mean, it's really not too much different from guard, besides the fact that your hands down and you're the guy making the calls. So when I play guard, when I play tackle, I still try to go through the motions, making the calls from a center standpoint. So that really helps with that.
So if we rewind time and go back to your days with the Regina Thunder, and I said, hey, in one season you're going to play center, guard, and tackle for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, would a kid out of Melfort believe that?
At the time, I probably wouldn't have believed you. Not a chance. It's surreal, and looking back to those days, it's really got to pinch yourself sometimes and realize that you're here, and it really makes you not take it for granted.
The Regina Thunder are celebrating their 25th anniversary season this year. Stephen Smith is doing the dual role right now, a teammate of yours here with the Riders. What does that program mean, and what has it meant to you?
It's everything, and he'll tell you the same. In your first couple of months here, you're just realizing really what's going on, and still kind of in the pinch yourself moment. But he's already starting to get more and more comfortable. When he does got the opportunity in there once in a while to be on the field, just taking advantage of each and every snap you can get. And it's really important for those guys to develop, and it really helps make that jump.
When you talk about development, how did you then develop from the high school game to playing junior football with the Thunder to now making the jump to pro?
I mean, I still look back at things I was learning when my first and second year of Thunder is that when I was in high school I had zero clue about. So just seeing the game step up each league you go into really helps. It really helps you progress faster throughout the league, and again, that time here really helps you progress to the CFL when you do want to make that jump.
Now, obviously, there's a lot of coaches along the way that you've had, and many of whom are volunteer. Who are some of the biggest influences that you've had in allowing you to, A, compete at football as a career, but also help you evolve as not just an athlete, a human?
I mean, if I start calling out specifics, I'd have too many to name, so I miss someone out. So, every O-line coach I've had has had an impact on my career through the junior ranks, through high school especially. And, it really comes down to, I look at the guy like Scott McCauley, who puts so much into that program and doesn't ask for a thing in return, and just how many lives he's changed just from what he's put in and the example he sets for the coaches as well. Every single coach I've had on the Thunder has been amazing and helped me along my journey. So again, I don't want to single anyone out besides Scotty being the head coach. because I'm going to miss too many names. But everyone's contributed to my career, and anyone that's involved with that organization is really helping those young men turn into men in the world, and not just good guys, but on the field, but good guys off the field and in the community.
You've clearly defied the odds playing a professional sport. Having said that, the Regina Thunder program, you mentioned that they build people, and a lot of people have been taken aback when they learn at the scholarships that they're able to afford their athletes and the opportunity to grow professionally while playing the game of football. Is that something that's maybe underestimated with the amount of volunteerism and hours that go into the scenes or behind the scenes of the Regina Thunder program?
It's definitely underestimated, and props to Murad Al-Khatib and everything he's done to the program. And like I said, he's shifted that program. I look in the last 5 years how much things have changed, and it is hand over fist, unrecognizable from when I was there, how much opportunity some of these guys have. We had a lot of opportunity then, but now a lot of guys are really making that tough decision between university or junior because of the scholarships that Thunder can provide.
Even in Saskatchewan, being the rural-based people and rural-based game that we have, what would you say to someone from a smaller center that maybe isn't from Melfort but might be from Weyburn or Wynyard, or you name the small community? What would you say to someone that's contemplating the Regina Thunder program and playing junior ball to progress to the next step?
I'd say go for it. It's a good stepping stone, and if you really fight hard, if your aspirations are CFL, there's multiple people that are proof of doing that. Not just myself. There's Dan Clark, multiple in the Hilltops. There's junior programs all throughout Canada. It is possible to go from junior to the CFL, and it's also a great stepping stone to university and youth sports. You see a lot of guys that I had time playing with the Thunder that are now starting in university programs, and it's just a great stepping stone to that program. You have the coaching, like I said, you have the scholarships, you have the learning opportunities, just a matter of what you want to do and how you want to live your life.
Logan, appreciate your time as always. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is a poster child right there for success for the program from the PJFC, if there ever was one. And you said Logan Ferland, he's a ticketed carpenter by trade, correct?
Yeah, he's a journeyman carpenter. He took his schooling when he was here playing with the Regina Thunder, so he does well, from what I understand, does good work in the community, and full journeyman carpenter is Logan Ferland.
Because here's the thing, university is not for everybody. And now normally it's kind of like, well, if you're going to go to school, it's got to be university is this. But you look at that, there's a lot more people in practical applications. There's carpenters, there's mechanics, there's plumbers, there's all sorts of that. So to hear you say that, and it's funny the way you said it, did you, and now I know you just moved into a new house where you're like, hey, listen, you mind coming by? I can maybe get a quote on some cupboards. The wife's been on me. I need some stuff in the garage. I need some storage. Maybe you swing by. I maybe mention you on the game a little bit. Maybe get you some off-season work. You cut me a deal. Have we gone down that path yet, Dave?
Logan would definitely. Logan's the kind of guy that would definitely help me out if I was in this situation and needed it. But you know what? Again, I give him credit for everything that he's achieved. He had a goal in mind, and he went ahead and he took the steps that he knew were right for him. And again, there's nothing wrong with not going to the youth sports route if you want to further your football career. There's nothing wrong with going that route either. It's a decision that you make. And fortunately, in our country, unlike the NCAA, I guess you can talk about the transfer window, but we won't get into that. But there's an opportunity to do both. So it's where you feel you're going to excel and where you want to go, and what your path is going to be can only be defined by you. And again, I think it's so cool that programs like the Regina Thunder, the Saskatchewan Hilltops, programs like this exist in our province to allow people to have those paths that they can journey down should they want to.
And then the other part of this too is there are these opportunities, but there are also really good football teams as well. That's not the part. There's a lot of places that offer academics or whatever that have sports, but they're not good. But to play at the level that the Hilltops and the Thunder play at, where they're always in contention, that's the other part as well that I think gets lost along the way. It's not just a bunch of nice guys trying to get education. These are really good football players that they assemble every year.
Absolutely. And if you look at the quality of football in our province, the work that Football Saskatchewan is doing and the grassroots level, and again, I talked about it with the flag football that both communities have, and with the push that is now on with flag football being an Olympic sport, it's only going to get better. And to put into context, someone was explaining to me once, we were talking about, boy, it's really tough for the Calgary Colts who have had a downtime in the PFC here against the Thunder and Hilltops recently. But they said, well, a lot of the kids are choosing to go to are going to the University of Calgary or have other places that they want to go and play. And I thought, well, that happens here. But if you look at it, consider the fact that our province has essentially got the same population as the city of Calgary. And we've got the Rams, we've got the Huskies, we've got the Thunder, we got the Hilltops, who all seem to be pretty good football teams. So I don't know if I really believe that or not, in the fact that, a province with a population of 1 million, and both these teams are very proud to recruit Saskatchewan kids and bring Saskatchewan kids into their programs. So to me, it's like that's a huge feather in our cap.
If you hear some clinking in the background, they're getting ready for the Dinner of Champions at the Connexus Arts Center. Dave Thomas will be clearing tables 13 through 17, and if you need drinks brought, you're going to have those tickets out. And listen, the tickets that you have are not going to get you the premium top shelf stuff, okay? As the guests roll in for the dinner, we're hoping to have Randy Ambrosi and Craig Reynolds on with us after 5 o'clock. It's the all-new Sportscage. It's Maz here. We're going to take a break and come back. Now, normally when we talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, you talk all it ends up being is Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. But so far this year, things haven't gone Travis Kelce's way on the football field. There's a lot of pictures of him looking unhappy. Him and his brother do a very popular podcast, and he's got his brother in his corner. Hang tight. We'll get to that audio in a bit. It's the all-new Sportscage on 620 CKRM.
When it comes to duct cleaning, call Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They'll clean out the dust and debris that builds up over the summer. When you need protection, they offer a monthly plan for homeowners to get regular service done on their AC and furnace, as well as plumbing. And when it comes to furnace servicing, it's never too early to get that done too. Bronco will service your furnace and have you ready to go before winter hits. Consider it today, so you can rest easy tomorrow. Learn more at broncoplumbing.com.
Winter brings tougher driving weather, and that means it's time to winter up those tires on your vehicle. Regina Motor Products has got an offer that will make your ride safer and your wallet happier. Before you hit the snowy open road, get your tires swapped for winter, with rebates as high as $120 off a full set of winter tires. You don't want to wait. Book now and be ready for all that cold stuff. Visit rmpchevrolet.com.
Here with a local grower talking about a game changer. Brett Young's 7204 Liberty Link canola. How's it looking out there?
Yeah, it looks good. Really good. We've got some sort of club root problem in that field, but the 7204 is staying clean. We like what we see.
And there you have it. Harvest is heating up here, folks, and BY 7204LL, Brett Young's newest Liberty Link canola hybrid, is pulling ahead. Talk to your retailer today.
Time is running out. The final deadline in the Roughrider and Children's Hospital Foundation's lottery is midnight tomorrow. Don't miss your chance to win big. There's 10 incredible grand prizes, including your best chance to win $1 million. Imagine driving away in a luxury vehicle, jetting off on a dream vacation, or scoring fantastic rider prizes. But hurry, the final deadline is midnight tomorrow. Help Saskatchewan kids to get your tickets now at riderschildrenslottery.ca.
Lottery license LR240034. Please play responsibly.
Regina Pats hockey is back, and that net is wide open to renew your plates. When you take that big slap shot, do it online with Dusick and Barlow. Request a quote for anything you need. It's a true breakaway, and as easy as it is for the Pats to score that winning goal. When it comes to online plate renewal, there's no high sticking involved, just the most valuable players in the game. Your local Regina insurance brokers, Dusick and Barlow. Local owners, local business, saskinsurance.com.
It is officially fall, but there is still time to swing the clubs, or the wrenches, if you will. Brian Raymond, Flowing Springs Golf Course. I know there's a lot of people out there, they don't like the heat of the summer. They love what the nice fall weather can provide. Brian, Flowing Springs, what is it looking like this weekend and into the next couple of weeks as far as people that want to come out and do some late season golf?
Well, the weather forecast looks really solid. We've got obviously this warm weather going through the weekend. It's going to take a bit of a dip next week, but you know what? We haven't even had frost yet, so it's been great, and we're looking forward to another 2 or 3 weeks of real nice weather for folks to get in. And I know a lot of folks out there will be coming in for the football game. If you're coming in, you're staying overnight, and you've got time, bring your sticks. Give us a call. Go online, book a tee time. We'd love to get you out here. I know we've had some folks out in the past, and we've got some great specials. Every day after 3 o'clock, it's $38. After 6, it's $22. And, of course, Monday and Wednesday, ladies and seniors can play for just $37.
Now, we're seeing at the President's Cup in Montreal, Scotty Scheffler is kind of tearing things up. You've seen any Scotty Schefflers on your course, local Scotty Schefflers with some potential this summer and as we get into the fall season?
Well, we do see some pretty good golfers come through here, and I think the difference between what we do and what most amateur golfers do and what people like Scotty Scheffler do is so the chasm is extensive. It's unbelievable how good these people really are, and obviously it's the time that they put in to do it, the practicing, that sort of thing. And speaking of practice, we do have a fantastic all-grass driving range here as well.
Nice. And if anything, when you get the big golf events on and you get people out there and you get a lot of buzz going around, it translates. It makes you actually want to go and do. When it comes to, and I know we're thinking about, as we're winding down the season, what are some of the things that people are, when they wander into the pro shop, is it they want help with mechanics? Is it equipment they want the good advice on? Like, where are people falling these days? Because there's as you know this, there's a whole lot to the game, and it's not necessarily one thing or the other.
No, and it's become way more complicated than it used to be. Maybe the number one question that we get here in the pro shop is, what kind of golf ball should I be using? Because if you've walked into any golf retail store or any pro shop, you see a myriad of choices that you have. I remember when I started working in the business about 1985, there were 6 choices of golf balls. Now some of the companies have 6 choices. So, I mean, it's crazy, but there's a golf ball for everybody. Certainly the colored balls have become very popular as well.
All righty. It's always good when you can find a Pro V1 in the rough. Don't happen often, because usually the guys that can hit Pro V1s don't end up in the rough like I do. All righty. Flowing Springs Golf. If we want to book a tee time, you can go online. It's flowingspringsgolf.com.
That's correct, and you can call us at 306-543-5050.
Your Crawford's No Frills is here for you as the weather gets cooler and warm meals are being served around the family table. Crawford's No Frills considers themselves to be family, which explains their low prices. You wouldn't overcharge family, would you? The Crawford's No Frills family have great tasting quality food, special deals, and customers. So visit and plan your next family meal at No Frills. No bells, no whistles, no frills. Say yes to Crawford's No Frills. We won't be beat.
The all-new Sports Cage continues. You can watch our live stream at sportscage.com and always on the radio. Saskatchewan's voice for local sports, 620 CKRM.
Well, I think for a lot of football fans, when it started, it was like, okay, this is kind of neat. But then after a few games, it kind of got old quick, right? The Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, every time the Kansas City Chiefs play and anything good would happen, they're flashing up to the box to get a Taylor Swift reaction shot. So they've been dating, a little over a year now, and kind of the sheen has worn off. Travis Kelce isn't having the best season to start for the Kansas City Chiefs. He hasn't got a lot of touches. He dropped some balls. He looks he looks worn out. He looks like he partied all off season, and now the season's here. But they have him and his brother Travis and Jason. They have a very popular podcast, and on this week's episode, Big Brother, Curtis, if you're ready to go here, Big Brother came to his rescue, and you leave basically baby brother alone.
It's going to go your way, especially if you freaking keep being the guy you've always been. You know what I mean? There ain't nobody that I've ever played sports with and nobody that anybody's ever been on a team with that has loved being out there with Trav more. And I know it's frustrating for me to watch and have to listen to, but I can't wait. And we don't got to put that in there. But I just can't wait. I wait for it to turn.
And if it doesn't, as long as we're winning football games, we good to go, baby.
And he says it right there. The Kansas City Chiefs are 3-0. They win Super Bowls. Do you think he cares? Do you honestly think he cares if he doesn't have a bunch of targets by week 3 of the NFL season? I don't think so.
It's a long season. I'm pretty sure he'll be just okay. All right. I'm pretty sure he knows how to shake it off, Swifties.
Look at Dave. I saw what you did there.
Thank you.
Nice. I like that cruel. I don't mind, Taylor. I like that cruel summer. Listen, I'm talking. You two were both born in 1999 or 2000. You should be totally into this. The double C's over here, Curtis and Colson. This is the language we're speaking. They are. Kansas City's 3-0 along with Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, and Seattle. Tonight, Cowboys, Giants, 6:15, worst turf in the NHL and the NFL, and a couple of the worst teams in the NFL set to play tonight, if you ask Arash Madani. We'll take a break. It's the all-new Sports Cage. We'll have more from the Connexus Arts Center. It's the Regina Thunder Dinner of Champions. Randy Ambrosi and Craig Reynolds on the radio coming up in minutes on 620 CKRM.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line X. Make your truck complete. 1865 McCarra Street.
Pizza! Where's it from?
Kids, it's not delivery. It's...
No, it's definitely delivery. It's from Western Pizza. Mama's had a long day, so she ordered online, poured a glass of Happy, put her feet up, and waited for the doorbell. There's also Caesar salad, lasagna, chicken wings. Oh, I got lots, so we can have the leftovers tomorrow. And the next day, Western Pizza. Big on toppings, big on taste, big on convenience. Get it delivered today.
Today's high-torque trucks generate a lot of wear on your tires. That's why Michelin recommends the Michelin Defender LT XMS tire. It's built with stronger, advanced compounds that hold up to tougher conditions longer. Whether you're meeting the demands on the job site or hauling your boat to the lake, turn to the experts at Quality Tire with 9 locations in Saskatchewan to find the right Michelin tire for you.
Based on resistance to gravel and severe wear testing compared to Michelin LTX MS2. See Michelin.ca for details.
QualityTire.ca. Hi, Jason here, General Manager at Capital Ford Lincoln, and I want to tell everyone that employee pricing has been extended to September 30th. Right now is the best time to get into a new Ford. On top of employee pricing and great financing rates, only Capital Ford is adding additional discounts as high as $2,500 over and above. Combining these two great offers generates savings as high as $20,500 off new 2024 models. See all the details at capitalfordlincoln.com. Hurry though, employee pricing ends Monday.
Down here at Heartland Livestock Moose Show, we are now in full swing for fall run. These sales continue to fill daily, so don't hesitate to get your calves booked in. We are home to 2 of the major buying plants that represent Western and Eastern Canada as well as the United States, with 4 major trucking companies helping bring the extra dollar for your calves. For all your marketing needs, or if you're looking to book in, don't be afraid to give us a call at 692-2385. Get top dollar for your calves and get them sold at Heartland Livestock Moose Show.
Good evening. It's mostly sunny and it's 21 degrees in Regina. I'm Corey Atkinson from the Harvard Media News Center with 620 CKRM News for Echo Sound in Fort Qu'Appelle. Stay connected with the new cell phone from Echo Sound. Call 306-332-6711. And for Kevin's Marine, make the most of summer with a boat or pontoon from Kevin's Marine in Fort Qu'Appelle, kevinsmarine.com. NDP leader Carla Beck was the guest of the Saskatchewan Chamber of Commerce to talk about her party's plans for the election campaign and what would lie ahead if the NDP formed government. Beck says they are very proud of their election platform.
You know, as I say, in rooms like we had today, it's a plan that has been very much built with the people of Saskatchewan, with the people, with the industries and businesses that we've talked to, with communities.
The NDP are promising to withdraw the provincial tax on fuel for a period of 6 months within hours of forming government and removing the provincial sales tax on children's clothing and groceries before Christmas. The election campaign is officially expected to get underway on Tuesday. Rain this past week will benefit livestock producers in the province. The rain elevated topsoil moisture levels for pasture land to 53% adequate. Megan Rosso with the Ministry of Agriculture says more than half of producers say they don't anticipate water supplies to be short this fall.
59% indicate there are no shortages occurring or anticipated, with 31% indicating they have moderate shortages currently. Additionally, 85% of producers reported no concerns about water quality for their livestock at this time.
Producers in the southwest and west central regions have more concerns about livestock water shortages and reduced water quality. Ottawa is urging Canadians in Lebanon to get out while commercial flights are still available as the violence between Israel's military and Hezbollah escalates. Defense Minister Bill Blair says the government is ready to help Canadians leave if needed.
We have been giving people advice that they should leave. But we have a responsibility to Canadians around the world. And if Canadians find themselves in harm's way, the Canadian government will be there to support them.
Canada and some of its allies have called for an immediate 21-day ceasefire across the Lebanon-Israel border and are asking all governments and parties involved to give diplomatic talks a real chance. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders have unveiled a striking new logo for their game on Saturday, part of a CFL initiative celebrating Indigenous communities. Designed by Chris Chipak from the Red Pheasant Cree Nation, the logo is more than just art, it's a powerful tribute. Chipak shared that while it's an honor to design for the CFL, true reconciliation goes far beyond a single symbol or day, stating that at a point in Canadian history, a celebration like this wouldn't have been possible.
Taking the fact that throughout Canadian history that wasn't something you could have or that you didn't have. Just being a part of a group and a family and just staying strong and united, I think, is a huge reminder for us, and it shouldn't just be a one-day reminder. It should be something that stays with us every day, that we should be thankful and we should really be close to one another as a family.
Fans can grab this exclusive merchandise now. That's your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com. Your weather is next.
You don't want to move cows that don't want to be moved. Instead of trying to move the cows to the water, just install a Keln Solar Livestock Watering System. With a Keln Solar Livestock Watering System, you can put your pump pretty much anywhere without the cost of hooking up to the grid. Leave the cows where they are and move the water to the cows. Learn more about the Keln Solar Livestock Watering System at kelnsolar.com. Keln Solar, we move water.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when... Uh-oh.
There are some things that can get spoiled. A sunny day, maybe.
Aw, and no umbrella or anything.
And then there's Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer, where they have all the top-of-the-line smartphones with all the latest features. With such a wide selection and so many great plans, nothing can spoil it.
Yay, rain!
Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer in Fort Capel. EchoSound.ca.
It's 5:06, and I'm Corey Atkinson with your 620 CKRM Precision Weather, brought to you by Line-X Regina. Serious protection, killer looks, 1865 McCarra Street, and for Matt's Furniture. Visit mattsfurniture.ca. Now, here's Precision Weather meteorologist Phil Spivak.
After gusting to close to 70 kilometers per hour at times through the afternoon, the wind does back off through the night, at least the gusts, which will come down, and then finally the sustained winds will do so as well. By the later part of the night, down to 15 to 25, but at least the evening is strong, and as the day goes on Friday, the wind will pick up again with the gusts getting up above 55, even 60 kilometers per hour one more time. Temperature overnight will be dropping, will fall off to around 6 degrees, then rise back to 26 through the day on Friday under a mainly sunny sky. We're plenty warm. We're well above normal, which normal this time of year is in the mid-teens, so we've got at least 10 degrees above normal. Clear sky for Friday night, backing off to 9, and sunshine for Saturday with a high of 24. Saturday featuring very light wind. Should be a very comfortable day. Sunshine warmer on Sunday, 28, but then a sharp drop-off for Monday. Sunshine mixing with some cloud gusty winds accompanying the change down to 15. With your 620 CKRM weather forecast, I'm Precision Weather meteorologist Phil Spivak.
Across the province at this hour, Saskatoon is 16, Swift Current is 16, Assiniboia 22, Yorkton Melville 26, Moosomin Broadview 25, Estevan 27, and Weyburn is 24. At this hour in Moose Jaw, it's partly cloudy, winds from the northwest at 44, gusting to 57, and it's 20. Regina is mostly sunny, winds from the northwest at 47, gusting to 62, and it's 21. For more local news that matters to you, subscribe to the daily newsletter at sasktoday.ca.
He's at it again. Matt's sharpening his pencil to save you big money at Matt's Furniture. From now until October 30th, save more with the Autumn Sweet Savings Event. Buy any 2 qualifying Whirlpool or Maytag kitchen appliances, like the Maytag Smart Electric Range with indoor grill, just $16.99, and save an extra $150. Buy 3 or more qualifying Whirlpool or Maytag appliances and save an extra $300. Matt's Furniture in Fort Capel, Kamsack, Melville, and Foam Lake, or online at mattsfurniture.ca.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line-X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line-X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line-X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line-X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line-X. Make your truck complete. 1865 McCarra Street.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents the all-new Sports Cage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Access Communications, trusted in rural Saskatchewan for internet, TV, and home security. Be a part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The all-new Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Saturday is game day. Saskatchewan Roughriders taking on the Ottawa Red Blacks. Countdown to kickoff will get going at 10 on Saturday morning. The Rider Nation pregame show at noon, and then kickoff at 1. And we will always wrap up the game, as we do, with the Rider Nation Radio Roundtable right after the game. And you can watch our Rider Radio live stream on Saturday at sportscage.com. That's where you can find us right now. Chris Mazurek, along with voice of the Riders, Dave Thomas, filling in for Barney on the all-new Sports Cage. We're streaming on X and on YouTube, and we're on the radio on 620 CKRM. Dave is all set up, ready to go. Regina Thunder Dinner of Champions at the Connexus Arts Center. It's a sold-out room tonight. There's not a seat to be had. They've got a all-star guest list when it comes to Saskatchewan Roughrider players, including AJ Ouellette, Kian Schaefer-Baker, Craig Reynolds, Randy Ambrosi, and our very own Luke Mullender, raising money for scholarships. As we do every Tuesday and Thursday at this time, it's time to say hey to Suits, Glenn Suter.
The all-new Sports Cage with CFL and Saskatchewan Roughrider legend Glenn Suter is brought to you by Quality Tire. With 9 locations across Saskatchewan, visit qualitytire.ca.
Glenn, it's been a while since we've had a chance to chat. I just want to do a little catch-up. What are we, 16, 17 weeks into the CFL season? Who is the most mad fan base at Glenn Suter so far in 2024? If you had to give me a top 3, who is filling your DMs after? Well, I'm not even going to say after every game, after every quarter, it seems. Who's throwing the most heat your way this year?
Yeah, and actually, that's an easy answer. It really is, and the answer is that it's Saskatchewan on Labor Day and the Labor Day rematch. That 2-week segment between Saskatchewan fans and some Bomber fans, but primarily Saskatchewan fans who either feel like I'm overcompensating or that I'm cheering for the Riders, and that's the Bomber fan gets upset. You know, with Miles Brown and all that went down there, it was my fault that all that went down.
Nice.
Which is fine. I mean, I don't mind taking the heat. And basically my job and what I was trying to do is explain the rule. So if taking the heat for explaining the rule is bad, I don't want to be good, because my job is to explain the rule.
Yeah.
But it's funny that all season long I have a ton of fans that'll ask questions on Twitter or X or whatever it's called, and and I'll try to respond to some of them. I often will just channel them to our show here and say, hey, we're going to talk about that very topic right here. So tune in. And, it's 90% really, really positive. And then Labor Day and the Labor Day rematch happened. And wow, it is amazing. Right down to the color of my tie. If it's wrong color or even has a twinge of blue in it, at that time, I must be cheering for the Bombers. I have to be cheering for the Bombers.
See, Suits, the only time I'd get worried is if the comments stopped at all. Then I would be very worried about, okay. Because over-passionate is one thing. Apathy is a whole other thing. All right, so we're at the Regina Thunder dinner tonight. It's the Dinner of Champions. You've done a lot of these dinners. Do you have a couple of go-to jokes that you like to tell to warm the crowd up? Is it a story? Like, what do you go back to the old days? Is there an ex-teammate that you like to use as a punching bag or a punchline to a few things to get a roar out of the crowd? Like, what's a Glenn Suter working the microphone room looking like these days?
It's not a routine thing, I don't think. I'm not doing a stand-up. But which, by the way, I have tons of respect for those guys and how they can remember a whole monologue and things like that. It's amazing. I love those dinners, though. I really do, because it gets you a chance to get face-to-face with the fans. Forget about social media and not putting your name on it and have a nickname, and then you can say what you want when you're really mad and have probably had a few drinks. And, that's one thing. But when we're face-to-face and we're shaking hands, there's so much great mutual respect between the fans and them coming up to say hi or get a picture. And I've gone to many of them where I work now for TSN for over 30 years. And when I first got there and I got to a point where I was actually calling Grey Cup games, they basically said to me, where do you want to go? What events do you want to see? Do you want to go to the Masters? Would you like to go to the NHL Game 7 final? Would you like to go to Australia to a rugby match? And I always say, you know what, take me to the dinner in Regina. That's where I want to go. I want to go to that dinner right there. And that's exactly how I usually start my deals, because I choose that dinner.
Suits, you have been such an advocate for football and grassroots football in our country, right? And again, we've experienced it between you and I at the Dogs Breakfast up in Saskatoon at the University of Saskatchewan. Here with the Regina Thunder, we're talking junior football and the number of volunteers that are here to allow the athletes an opportunity to continue to play the game, but also go to school and get scholarships. When you look at the grand scheme of things in grassroots football, where does everything settle in?
Yeah, it's great that we are now really focusing in on developing and supporting it, starting with flag football. I think the flag football initiatives that have been coming down from the CFL head office, but often from the provincial bodies, football bodies, and also Football Canada. But that's where it starts to get kids a chance, guys and girls, a chance to play the game without the physical aspect, teaching them how to block and tackle. And that's a different, not necessarily a different level, but just a different skill that you have to learn so you can protect yourself and protect your kids. But, when I think about amateur football, I think of society today. And if you watch the news, boy, there are so many life lessons that can be learned playing the game of football. And it really does teach you a ton about yourself, first of all, what you're capable of. When you line up across a guy from another person and you have to go and block them or try to move them aside so you can make a tackle, you learn quickly, what your limits are, how you can continue to push those limits, how you can push yourself. Football also teaches you how to be disciplined. It teaches you to put the team ahead of your own needs, your own, statistics at times. You have to play a different role at times, and that role you have to play with great discipline. And boy, could we use great discipline in society a little bit more And it's still being learned in team sports. And so that's why it's just so important. And yes, there are risks. But you know what, guys? There's tons of risk by sitting down on your couch all night playing video games.
Yep.
There's probably more health risks there than there is to go out, learn how to tackle properly, learn how to block properly, be physical, but learn how to be a great teammate, learn how to be disciplined when you're frustrated and upset, and learn how to be part of something bigger than you. That to me is football. That's what you learn when you played as a kid. That's why it's so important. And thank you to those volunteers that you're going to be talking to tonight that put so much time in to give these kids an opportunity.
Yeah, we had Logan Ferlin on the radio just before 5 before you came on. And like I said, that's a walking billboard of success, of everything that started at the grassroots all the way up to being one of the best players for the Saskatchewan Roughriders this year. 4 games on the schedule this weekend, and they're all important because we're in the stretch drive. But for whatever reason, I can't help but think this Elks Bombers game tomorrow night, and whatever the outcome is kind of almost the linchpin to a lot of other things that could unfold not only this weekend, but as we go down the stretch here. Do you kind of see this Elks Bombers thing? Because in that same way, if the Bombers win, I think the Elks are done. But if the Elks end up winning tomorrow night in Winnipeg, all bets are off, and it is as wide open as the Wild West can possibly be here to the stretch run.
Yeah, that's the difference right there. It's if the Elks win. And that is a big if. If they don't win, it separates top and bottom in a lot of ways. I mean, Calgary is on the bottom looking up for sure. Edmonton just ahead of them, barely. But this game against a Western opponent, 4-point games, as we say, if the Bombers win, it separates the pack. It puts them sort of not even front runners. I mean, they're almost a lock to finish first in the division, host the Western Final again. And I know there's a whole bunch of teams in the league that are going, oh, do we have to go to Winnipeg? It'll be sold out. It's going to be loud. It's going to be cold. It's going to be all those things. So,
but they earned that. But they're going to earn it. They started 0-4, and I remember at the time I said Edmonton at 0-4 is different than Winnipeg 0-4 because the Bombers can turn it around at any time, and they just wasn't going their way. They had a good team. They managed to overcome injury. They lose free agents. They have a strong roster, and you're seeing it kind of. They're peaking at the right time. To me. Well, we didn't know this until it played out. Look at Montreal and the run that they went on. I hate saying this, but look at the Bombers and kind of the run they're on. It's very 2023-esque of those Alouettes where they just seem to be hitting stride at the right time, and it's really going to be hard to beat them.
Well, the two things that are different now than they were in the 0-4 start for Winnipeg, the first one is their defense is playing at that high level again, that championship type level. I mean, they basically shut out Nathan Rourke. I mean, Nathan Rourke comes back, plays against the Lions, who are a good football team, and played against the Bombers in his first game, got 4 first downs in the whole game. 4 first downs. I mean, that's dominant defense. So they've got that going. And in that 0-4 start for the Bombers, they didn't really have a healthy Brady Oliveira. In fact, he didn't even play one of the or two of the first games. So that's a big part of their sort of heart and soul of their offense. So I think those are the big differences. The Elks basically have to win this one. I mean, they're not in must win yet because it's still open. But if they do, and the Bombers stay at 8, the Elks go to 6 wins now.
6.
Yeah, they'll go to 6 wins.
And then we're in Edmonton.
And now Saskatchewan's looking at them going, oh boy, here we go.
And it's a road game.
Play each other.
And you know this, Suits. Over the years, Rider Nation sometimes does not fare well when they go to Edmonton to play. I'm sure you have enough maybe scary memories of things what used to happen when you used to go to Commonwealth there. Riders, Red Blacks, there's a lot going on. Let's just stick to the game. You think with what you've seen out of the Riders lately and where the Red Blacks are, Riders have a good chance of, because it's at home, winning this football game?
Well, that's a big part of it. Yes, that's going to really help them. They're better at home. Obviously, every team is. Ottawa has been fantastic at home and not near as good on the road. So that's one thing. But, I really think this is a great test for Rock Armstead. We're going to see if he can be disciplined, because if there's ever a game that he could turn around and just start yelling at an opposing coach, it would be this one. And if he can control that and stay right to the job at hand and focus on that, then it'll be a great sign for sort of the future of him in the Canadian Football League, let alone with Saskatchewan. And so that's kind of a story outside of the just win-loss story. But a good run game with Trevor Harris, I always say this about a good run game, and I know it's a cliche we use all the time with that balance, but a good run game gives the quarterback one extra second in the pocket when he throws the football. If you have established good run game, your quarterback gets another second, because the D-line and linebackers have to check the run first and then get into their pass rush. That second can be the difference between 380 yards and 180 yards for a quarterback. So, and Trevor in the last game showed great accuracy. Like, I can't emphasize, I went back and watched it again, and he was really threading some needles there. I mean, he was putting the ball right where it had to be, and he can do that. Yeah, I mean, I talked to Scott Milenovich, who coached him before, who said he's one of the best, accurate throwers in the seams and in those bender routes that he's ever seen. And he coached Ricky Ray. So, I think they're very capable of taking a run here.
All right, you mentioned Milenovich, the Hamilton Ticats in BC tomorrow night. I like it's too bad that Hamilton got off to such a rough start, because they're playing good football and they're kind of not close enough, but yet not eliminated yet to make it interesting. I think if Hamilton goes into BC tomorrow night and beats the Lions, I think that if you're BC, you may have to look at, and we talked about this, is there something you may have to do at the trade deadline? You're hosting the Grey Cup, and if this is the year to load up, I mean, I know you got Matthew Betts, you got Nathan Rourke back, but is Hamilton going in there, if they spoil the party, enough to cause severe concern to put up some red flags in BC that it's not going to be a cakewalk, especially with Winnipeg playing good football?
I have a feeling you're dancing around, do they trade VA? Vernon Adams.
Suits, I don't want your social media to blow up. And here, don't wear a tie. I'm going to tell you, if you do the West Final in Winnipeg, just don't wear a tie. That's one less thing people to be mad at. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, no, it's a great point, because they are putting, they are all in. And Coach Campbell has said a few times now that he does not want to trade Vernon Adams, because they'd rather have two starting quarterbacks in their quarterback room that they can go to at any time in the games or from game to game. So he is adamant that he doesn't want to make that trade. However, if they lose to Hamilton and Hamilton's hot, could there be someone else, or would they change their mind on VA? I think it's a great question, because with the Grey Cup here, Amar Doman is investing big time in what's going to be an amazing festival, and they want to be in the game, and they want to host the semi at least, and they still have their eyes on hosting the West Final. So, the next 2-3 weeks, hang on, just strap in.
Hey, they don't want to just be there to see the Jonas Brothers at halftime as spectators. They want to have gear on and be sneaking out of the locker to rocking them together. All right, it's Glenn Suter. It's brought to you by Quality Tire with 9 locations across Saskatchewan, qualitytire.ca. Suits, all the best this weekend. And to anybody on social media, leave Glenn's inbox alone. Give the man a chance to work. All right, we're going to take...
I love the passion. Just send it. The name calling I can do without, but the passion I love. Thanks, guys.
All righty. It's going to be a good weekend in the CFL. We're going to take a break, and we come back. We're going to go and chat with Dave and Craig Reynolds, president of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He's going to be part of the program tonight at the sold-out Regina Thunder Dinner of Champions. We'll do that next. It's the all-new Sportscage on 620 CKRM.
The all-new Sports Cage is brought to you by Busy Bee Doors. Busy Bee will repair or replace your residential or commercial garage doors so you don't get stuck in or out. Catch the buzz. Busy Bee Doors, the garage door specialists.
He's at it again. Matt's sharpening his pencil to save you big money at Matt's Furniture. From now until October 30th, save more with the Autumn Sweet Savings Event. Buy any 2 qualifying Whirlpool or Maytag kitchen appliances, like the Maytag Smart Electric Range with indoor grill, just $16.99, and save an extra $150. Buy 3 or more qualifying Whirlpool or Maytag appliances and save an extra $300. Matt's Furniture in Fort Capel, Kamsack, Melville, and Foam Lake, or online at mattsfurniture.ca.
Time is running out. The final deadline in the Rough Rider and Children's Hospital Foundation's lottery is midnight tomorrow. Don't miss your chance to win big. There's 10 incredible grand prizes, including your best chance to win $1 million. Imagine driving away in a luxury vehicle, jetting off on a dream vacation, or scoring fantastic rider prizes. But hurry, the final deadline is midnight tomorrow. Help Saskatchewan kids to get your tickets now at riderschildrenslottery.ca. Lottery license LR240034. Please play responsibly.
Get the farm equipment you need at upcoming Ritchie Brothers farm sales this fall. Ritchie Brothers is hosting close to 20 farm auctions between October 9th and December 12th. For the latest auction schedule, visit rbauction.com. Choose from hundreds of farm equipment items, including combines, tractors, trucks, headers, trailers, farmland, and much more. Register for free, then bid online at rbauction.com.
Meet your new favorite shade of green. At Nick's Service, we offer the Fendt 500 Vario Series tractor that's tailor-made for your farm. Get better stability, ease of use, and comfort with one tractor. Whether you're feeding, tilling, baling, or hauling, this series is built for your farm. Experience up to 163 horsepower with this multi-purpose tractor. Visit Nick's Service in Emerald Park or go to nicksservice.com to get a quote on the Fendt 500 Vario Series.
Freeze Tallman wants you to get her done before winter. They can save you time and hassle by delivering your building materials directly to your home or cottage. They have brown-treated lumber, composite decking, aluminum railing, fencing, landscaping material, everything you need to finish your outdoor building projects before snow falls. Visit freezetallman.com or see them in Regina or Fort Capel. Freeze Tallman. Let's get you building.
Are you afraid of losing your car or home due to debt? Don't let fear or shame hold you back from seeking help. Bankruptcy is not the only option. A consumer proposal can reduce your monthly payments, lower your overall debt, and allow you to keep your assets. My name is Jasmine Brown. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Regina, and I'm here to help you tackle your debt. Take the first step towards regaining control of your finances. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
When the outdoorsman in you is itching to get back out on the hunt, look no further than TNT Gunworks, your local Vortex Optics dealer. All Vortex products, including scopes, rangefinders, and binoculars, all come with a VIP no-fault warranty for life, which means the best warranty in the game for the peace of mind that you need. Vortex stands behind their product 100%. The TNT service department will do all installation of your Vortex Optics free of charge. Check out the wide variety of Vortex scopes, binoculars, rangefinders, accessories, and more. TNT Gunworks Regina.
With over 380 conveniently located card lock locations, Co-op offers the largest card lock network in Western Canada. Count on us to keep you fueled 24/7, right from Vancouver Island, British Columbia, through to Thunder Bay, Ontario, and all points in between.
Welcome back to the all-new Sports Cage. Get social with us. Follow us on X at Sports Cage. Watch our video stream at sportscage.com and always on the radio at 620 CKRM.
One of the most heated rivalries in the Western Hockey League gets going again this weekend. Regina Pats and Moose Jaw Warriors. It's a home and home tomorrow night in Moose Jaw, and then Sunday back here at the Brand Center. Tomorrow night, the pregame show on 620 CKRM with Dante DeCaria will start at 6:30, and we'll have play-by-play at 7 o'clock. It's Maz and voice of the Riders, Dave Thomas, doing the Sports Cage today. Barney is off. Dave is set up near the bar, not far from the kitchen, at the Regina Thunder Dinner of Champions at the Connexus Arts Center. And it's always good when we can have FaceTime with the president of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Craig Reynolds joins Dave. What's the scene like, guys? What if there's on a scale of 1 to 10, the smell coming from what we're going to be dining on later tonight? What are we rating that at about this point, and then in the evening?
I could smell the roast beef, so I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to shower after a hot day at practice, so I don't know if I really want you going down.
Oh, is that the roast beef, or is that you, Dave?
Yeah.
I'm smelling something over here, but it smelled pretty decent. Pretty decent.
Well, it was a pretty good smell as we were coming out of Calgary last week with a win, and it all started with the engagement with Rider Nation in Calgary, because there was a big event out on the east side of the stadium that I thought was incredible, that just really lent itself to a fun atmosphere at McMahon Stadium. What did you see and hear from Rider Nation?
Yeah, we often talk about our presence in Calgary, specifically at McMahon, but I've been to that stadium a lot. I don't know if I've seen as much green as I saw there. I don't know if you saw the same thing, Dave, but I looked there and I'm like, holy cow, are there a lot of Rider fans here? And yeah, we had a pregame party before, and then obviously at McMahon they have that tailgating parking lot as well. And even when I was walking through that to get to the pregame party, I saw a lot of green jerseys there too. So we had a great presence there. It's always great to interact with our fans. We have so many fans in Calgary, as we know. It's like Saskatchewan's third largest city or something like that. So anyways, it was good to be there. It was good to come out of there with a win.
You talk about presence, and I know how committed that the Saskatchewan Roughriders are to a presence in communities around the province. And tonight we're here at the Regina Thunder dinner. It's just an opportunity to show support for a bunch of people that are doing things for youth in our province, to allow them to play the sport and advance their education should they choose. Why is that such a priority for the Roughriders?
Yeah, we've got, well, first of all, it's a huge priority to get back to the community and the community that supports us in the province. We're a community-owned team. We're Saskatchewan's team, and we feel it's our duty to give back. And we have three pillars that are really important to us in the community, and that's education, that's health, and then that's amateur football. And so, whether that's flag, whether that's minor, whether it's high school, whether it's these elite teams with the Thunder, it's really important for us to be here. I know Murat, their president, reached out and sort of said, "Can we get a couple players here?" So we were able to get AJ Ouellette and Keen Schaefer-Baker here tonight to show some support. And yeah, they're expecting a sold out dinner tonight, and it's just great to see, and it just helps grow junior football in our province.
When it comes to me being new, I was trying to paint the house. Not a good thing. But there are some amazing artists in Rider Nation, whether it be the Obsidian and the new logo that was introduced earlier this year, or the Indigenous logo that will be shown off by the club this weekend as part of Truth and Reconciliation Weekend across the league. Chris Chipek from Red Pheasant First Nation. What a talent. What an incredible vision.
It's incredible. You said it. It's incredible. Like Chris Chipek, what an artist. And I don't know, I think you guys had him on your program, or I've heard him, on the radio, and he's talked about it. I don't know if he said how quickly he did this logo, so I don't want to spoil that. But he did this relatively quickly, and to come out with this, first of all, the story behind it's incredible, and then just the quality of the logo and just the response has been really outstanding. And what an incredible talent. And I know he did the Huskies logo as well. Yes. And so we were really happy. We ran a bit of a process because we wanted to sort of be, making sure we sort of were open to all Indigenous artists throughout the province. And we were really happy with Chris submitted. And when we saw his design, we were blown away.
I was blown away, and we talked about this before we went on the air, when I walked the concourse the other day, because quite frankly, the klutz that I am, I dropped my pen and I had to get my lucky pen, and it just had me go around the concourse, which I don't typically do on a practice day. And there were boxes and boxes and boxes of books. And then when I did some asking, like, what's the program? I don't understand it. It was incredible. Can you explain what the Rough Rider Football Foundation has done?
Yeah, so that's a foundation partnership with the Jays Care Foundation. So the Blue Jays, they have a charitable arm as well called Jays Care, and obviously we have the Saskatchewan Roughrider Foundation. So they approached us about hosting essentially a book fair where teachers throughout the province can come to Mosaic Stadium and just get books for their classrooms. There's no charge. They just walk in and they sort of, I want this, this, and this, and they walk out with books. And so as we were talking about, originally I went down there and I was blown away, and I thought, man, somebody said there was 6,000 books. I'm like, well, that's a lot of books. And then I heard today it was 60,000 books. Yeah, not 6,000, 60,000 books. So yeah, that started about a couple hours ago. So it's tonight, and then it's tomorrow, and tons of teachers registered, and it's just going to be great.
The other thing, as Kean Schaefer has just walked into the building behind us, and you can see the room light up. He's right over there.
He's a star, that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's incredible that the relationship, not just the players, but the coaches, the entire organization has with the community, in that they will go out of their way to make sure that they're a positive role model and allow, especially the younger fans, an opportunity to have an experience. And it's really key, and an experience that the club is providing to some Northern football players, I thought was really cool this weekend.
Yeah, so this weekend, we're having it's over 220 kids from the North South Football League, which is a relatively new league that, the foundation supports with funding to make sure, it happens. And the kids have to go to school. They got to go to school to play in the league. And I heard an interesting story today that they actually had some kids go back to class and back to school to meet the attendance requirements to be able to come on this trip, to be able to come down here. Cool. And so our guys are running a football camp with them tomorrow night. They've got a number of things that they're doing all day tomorrow. Some of it, truth and reconciliation focused, and then the camp Friday night, and then they're all coming to the game on Saturday. They're going to be holding the big Canadian flag, and so just an amazing experience for those kids. And you're right, like. When you get our players out talking, running a football camp, but interacting with young youth, it has a long-lasting impact. It really does.
It's not an easy job because these guys are so selfless. They do it forever, it seems. Right?
Yeah, they do. And like AJ is another good example. I just saw him as well. He went out to Calgary and he was interacting with fans out there. And the number of young kids I saw. Oh, there's Kean. There's there. Kean. Yeah. So the number of kids I saw him interacting with there, and again, I similar stories. A kid went in there to get a 45 Olette jersey just so AJ could sign in person and take pictures, and it's just really cool. We've got so many guys that are just so, like you said, selfless. That's what they are.
Well, it's an opportunity now for Rider Nation to show out. We're in the stretch run, and obviously the team has got they got their destiny in their own hands, and it's an opportunity for us to influence that down the stretch here, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. We got 3 home games, 3 out of the 4, and so the back half of the schedules, we liked it when we got the schedule. We said this is good for us. We should play well at home. We should play well in our fans, and our fans should give us an advantage. And beautiful weather on Saturday expected, 1:00 start. It's on CTV, so that's new for us. It's our first it's our first home CTV game. Expecting a really good crowd, and the weather's going to be great. And then we've got BC at home, which should be a huge game. Plaza of Honor game, the Legends night that night, and then we have a bye, and then we finish at home with Calgary as well, which could be a really important game. And like you said, we control our own destiny. We just continue to win games, and we'll be in a good place.
Don't want to monopolize your time. I thank you so much for taking some of your time and stopping in here. I know that there's a bunch of people that want to talk to you, so thank you so much for doing this.
I really appreciate it, Dave and Chris. Thanks for having me.
There you go. President and CEO of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Mr. Craig Reynolds, here at Connexus Arts Centre as we're counting down to mealtime for the Regina Thunder dinner that is coming up, the Dinner of Champions, Maz.
Hi, Sean here from the Rusty Shovel. We carry a lot of inventory with a warehouse and yard full of it. Sometimes we order too much or what have you, and we need to clear it out to make room for new product. That's why we have the Rusty Shovel clearance section. To be able to match people with projects with our product we need to get rid of at a discount. Head to therustyshovel.ca, submit your info, and we'll get you some discounted product options for your project. Help us clear inventory out, and you can save some money. Make a deal today. Great projects start at the Shovel.
Time is running out. The final deadline in the Rough Rider and Children's Hospital Foundation's lottery is midnight tomorrow. Don't miss your chance to win big. There's 10 incredible grand prizes, including your best chance to win $1 million. Imagine driving away in a luxury vehicle, jetting off on a dream vacation, or scoring fantastic rider prizes. But hurry, the final deadline is midnight tomorrow. Help Saskatchewan kids get your tickets now at riderschildrenslottery.ca.
Lottery license LR240034. Please play responsibly.
Grab huge deals on fall hunting gear at the Outdoor Tradition Sale, on now at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Hunt in any weather with the waterproof polyester construction of Redhead Silent Stalker Elite parkas or bibs for men and youth. Now 30% off. And bring birds within range with select Avian X waterfowl decoys. Now up to $100 off. Live for the hunt this fall with gear from the Outdoor Tradition Sale, on now at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. See online for more details.
Hun, I'm starving. What do we have to eat?
Avoid the annoyed.
Western pizza.
I really don't feel like cooking today.
Avoid the annoyed.
Western pizza.
I want lasagna.
I was thinking Caesar salad and garlic bread.
I had my heart set on chicken wings.
Avoid the annoyed.
Western Pizza.
Avoid the annoyed with Western Pizza. Big on toppings, big on taste. Dine in or take out. Order today.
Western Pizza.
Build with the best. Kubota construction equipment gets the job done with power, precision, and efficiency. This fall, save up to $4,500 in select construction equipment. See your Kubota dealer for details.
We love Saskatchewan, and we love hearing from our listeners. Call or text us 306-936-6262. Driven by Capital Ford Lincoln, Saskatchewan's #1 Ford retailer. CapitalFordLincoln.com on 620 CKRM. The all-new Sports Cage. Watch our live stream at sportscage.com and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Some sports history made this afternoon. The final game at the Oakland Coliseum was played, and the Oakland A's beat the Texas Rangers. Final score 3-2, and there's a video going around on social media on some crazy fans that hopped onto the field because they just wanted a piece of it. The A's are eventually going to end up in Vegas, and if you've been to Vegas lately, you see they're tearing down the Trop, and that's where the ballpark is going to go. Where they play in the interim to be seen. And I didn't know a lot, like a lot of people, about the Oakland A's until the movie Moneyball came out. Brad Pitt, one of the best roles, one of the best movies ever made. I love the scene in the batting cage with Billy Beane and David Justice, where they just basically, they see eye to eye kind of where they're at these days. Jonah Hill does a great job in that movie. All right, it's Maz here. Dave Thomas is at the Connexus Arts Center because it's the Regina Thunder Dinner of Champions, and the star-studded guest list continues. Dave, we're going from the Prez to the Commish. Randy Ambrosi joining the all-new Sports Cage now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Commissioner, for taking time and coming out to this event tonight.
Yeah, it's great to be here. This is a very, I'm a big fan of junior football and a big fan of Marads, and they asked if I'd come and join you all tonight, and I'm thrilled to be here.
What does junior football mean to the development model when it comes to young athletes starting the sport to one day hoping to be like their heroes playing the sport in the CFL?
Well, we've had, great junior football players that have gone on to be superstars, CFL athletes. And, I don't think you could really say enough about how important it really is. It opens up another pathway for players. It's an important pathway. I myself had a season of junior football before heading on to the University of Manitoba. I love it. I think we do. In fact, we talked about this with Murad this morning. We need to do more. We need to think, get creative about how we develop an even stronger relationship with our junior football partners. But for tonight, let's just say it's super important, and it's great to be here.
So far be it from me to ever suggest something to the commissioner of the Canadian Football League.
Well, listen, if you're not going to suggest something to the commission, you'd be the first person.
I was going to put this on my father-in-law.
You should start a club.
Yeah,
okay.
There could be a club or two out there, is
right.
What I'm telling you. Well, this one was going to be from my father-in-law so that I could die. He feels that you should find sponsorship opportunities with cardiologists because he says he just can't take it with all the finishes this year. But I'm sure that's music to your ears.
I love to hear that, and it has been a remarkable year. And you look at the way the Western Division is shaping up, and it's going to make for a very, very interesting finish here. And these games are, like we always talk about, wanting the games to matter all the way to the last. This could be the year where every single game matters. And ultimately, we could see some reshuffling of the deck here before it's all said and done.
And how interesting is it that, a team like Edmonton, 0-7, they're not out of this. And again, it's all coming down to who's playing well at the right time, isn't it?
Well, and in fact, in our league, in fact, ironically, being here in Regina, I was on the 16-2 Edmonton Eskimos at the time. And we had a 9-9 Riders team come into Edmonton and beat us, go on to win the Grey Cup. I think that's it. First of all, so injuries play such a key role, and that takes us back for a moment to junior football. We need to continue to develop the depth because you just don't know where those injuries are going to happen, and the more players that are capable of stepping in, the better you're going to be. So injuries will play a factor here before this season is done. Momentum and getting a hot hand late in the season can be a very powerful formula. I think we're going to be in for a wild finish and a very entertaining finish.
Injuries leads me into my next question, because as a parent, we never want to discipline our kids, right? Even though it's going to be for the greater good and hopefully an educational opportunity moving forward, we don't want to do that. I would assume the same is with the Canadian Football League. You don't want to fine a player if you don't have to, but it's that discipline that hopefully allows the education process so that a healthy game will transpire from that. When assessing a situation on the field, from the time that it happens to the time that a supplemental discipline report comes out, what is the process?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's a process that has been changed quite dramatically, and a lot of use the word systematized, a lot more process. So essentially, what happens is, following the weekend's games, the football operations team they review all the games, they watch all the game films, and they build an initial list. Some of it will come directly from the officials that will make a notation about an incident that's going to require a review. Some of it comes from reviewing the game film. So there's an initial list of plays or events that require a review. Once that list is compiled, then they run it through what we call a decision tree. And this was something we really worked hard on to make sure that we weren't dispensing discipline randomly. Wanted there to be some logic to, if this happened, we would do this. And it's quite thorough. So it accounts for a lot of the variables you might imagine that can take place during an incident. At that point, there's a preliminary notation of what the decision tree is recommending. Some of those are now going to require a hearing. So the more serious of incidents they'll ask a player to attend a hearing. So for our football operations team, the player involved in the incident, often the CFL Players Association sit in on those. And we go through what happened, what took place in the incident, and then a report is written following the hearing, and all of it's compiled. And then I receive a recommendation along with the video clips from every play. So that's when I really get involved. So then I take a look at all the video clips. So on any given incident, there'll be somewhere between 5 to 7 different angles and views. I watch all of that. I read the report. I read the recommendation. And then I have a call with football operations or a meeting with football operations, and we go through every one. And they take me through their logic. Take me through the hearing. I tell them what I've seen, and then ultimately we have a conversation, and then I make a final decision. That's the process.
So, very in-depth. Obviously, it isn't just throwing out a deck of cards here. But also there's the education component. You can never get somebody's health back, right? No. And a lot of the penalties are, hey, this is a dangerous play. We want this out of the game for player health and safety. Yeah. So where does the education component come in, whether it's to the individual player or just the league as a whole?
Yeah, so, we regularly send out memos to the teams, noting something that took place. We'll be making recommendations. Our football operations are constantly talking with the GMs and coaches about things that are happening. We will at times, so just in the last couple of weeks, we sent out a memo to the players through the teams. We advised that we were going to be amplifying our supplementary discipline for hits on our quarterbacks. That's sending a message that we want our players to be more careful. We're always trying to be if not a full step ahead of the players, educating them on what's going to be permitted and what's not. Look, I'll tell you this. There's no joy for me, zero joy in reaching into our players' pockets for money or suspending somebody. That's not why I took this job. It'll be when I'm all said and done, and at some point down the road, it'll be the thing that I will say that I enjoyed the least. But it is a critical part of the commissioner's job, and it's one that I take very seriously. But we are trying to take a very proactive educational approach. We are trying to send out reminders so that the players can learn in real time. But it's a game of football. There's always going to be something that happens that's going to require supplementary discipline. We just try to approach it in the most thoughtful way we can.
Commissioner Randy Ambrosie, we're up against the clock, but I do want to ask about education and awareness, and that's what the Canadian Football League has undertaken this week. So maybe quickly, the Indigenous logos have been released by the teams. It's a really great initiative this weekend.
Yeah, again, something we're very proud of. As you know, we take our diversity and inclusion very seriously, and it's an authentic history, a league that opened the doors to so many athletes that didn't have opportunities elsewhere. We're not perfect. We don't claim to have got it all figured out, but one of the things we are most proud of is our connection to the communities. And this is a community issue. This is about acknowledgement. It's about education. It's about healing. And the fact that our teams have leaned in the way they have and working with their Indigenous community leaders, working with local artists, I think it's just a testimony to the character of our teams, the character of our league, the character of our country that we're doing it. Again, one of these things where I couldn't be proud enough. And when I'm part of it, I just go, yeah, this is it. Reason to watch, fun, fast, and entertaining. Reason to care. Our connection to the community, I believe, is second to none.
So which is your favorite logo? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Enjoy the night. Thank you for coming back and helping support athletes.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Randy Ambrosie, here on the all-new Sports Cage on 620 CKRM.
All right, and if you missed any Randy's interview or what Craig Reynolds had to say when he was chatting with Dave Thomas, you can always check out the all-new Sports Cage podcast, and you can find those at sportscage.com. We're going to wrap here as we get set for the kickoff of the Regina Thunder Dinner of Champions at the Connexus Arts Center. It's been a busy afternoon talking a lot of football, and one of the guys that Dave Thomas had a chance to catch up with earlier today, because he went through this and he is a product of it, is the head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Corey Mace.
Coach, the Regina Thunder are holding their Dinner of Champions tonight. Junior football is a huge stepping stone for a number of young athletes in our country. You grew up in BC. You know all about it, I'm sure. What does junior football mean?
What an opportunity, for these guys to continue playing and obviously the relationship they have with this league. Guys that I've been around, the Andrew Harrises, the Rob Cotes, even here with Stephen Smith and Caleb came and helped us out. I mean, there's Logan Furlan, there's been so many people go through the junior program throughout the country and parlayed it into, a professional career for themselves. But, even for, the guys that don't take that route, just having another opportunity to continue to play this game that they love. And, as we speak to the Thunder and how successful they've been and football in this province, man, it's incredible.
Being in Saskatchewan, you see the junior programs, you see the flag football programs, you see the hundreds of volunteers that make it happen. Do you ever just sit back and wow? No, it's crazy. I mean, I've been in different provinces, obviously, BC, Alberta, Ontario. This is a different level here, the organization and what they do in, all the way from flag football and football. Everybody that I've met, my kids play flag, and I know how hard people work in football Sask and all the way up through, the junior programs, RMF, and then, obviously here. So, everybody keeps telling me this is a hockey province. I don't know if it is, man. You know what I mean? But it's incredible to see, and everybody loves the game. And being a football guy, you're excited about that. I'm excited about my kids, getting in there soon. You mentioned Logan Furlan, also a graduate of the Thunder program, not just developing athletes, developing pretty good people, I'd say. No, incredible people. I mean, you point to those two that you just mentioned, no matter the circumstance, you're good with those guys in the room. Excellent young men, and certainly, have an opportunity to go and speak with the Thunder team maybe a couple months back, and the things that they're incorporating over there. It's not just about football, it's about growing the man. So they're doing all the right things, and you're kind of seeing the fruits of labor there.
The United Steelworkers Local 5890 acknowledges the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation in Canada. This important day allows us to reflect and educate